Just gonna let this play for a few minutes, and let some people come in here and stuff like that. I'm starting at like 10 minutes early. All this music will be subscriber created from Evil Eddie.
Every day's another choice, noise of wisdom, empty voice, scrolling circles, wasting time, trading purpose for the climb. Then a signal cuts the haze, questions set my mind ablaze. Not a preacher, not a king, just another human asking everything. No spoon-fed certainty, no packaged destiny. The strongest weapon that you'll own is learning how to think alone. Feed the fire, fuel the mind, leave the shallow world behind. Welcome to the duality realm, where every question breaks the shell. Intellect, nutrition, fuel for your ambition. Think, grow, never let your curiosity slow. Build your mind, stand your ground. Truth is earned, it isn't found. Challenge every sacred cow. Ask the why and ask the how. Comfort fades when knowledge grows. Every answer opens roads. Different voices, different views. Separate the facts from news. Not afraid to disagree. Freedom starts with honesty. Your brain's a muscle, work it hard. Every lesson leaves a scar. Not destruction, transformation. Critical thought is liberation. Feed the fire, sharpen steel. Make your understanding real. Welcome to the jolly realm, where every question breaks the shell. Intellect, nutrition, fuel for your ambition. Think, grow, never let your curiosity slow. Build your mind, stand your ground. Truth is earned, it isn't found. Read the books, hear the debates, question all the manufactured faiths. Listen close, then decide. Let your own convictions be your guide. No blind faith, no blind rage, just another turning page. Every conversation, every idea makes tomorrow just a little more clear. A lifelong expedition. Raise your roll, let your understanding overflow. Raise your mind, raise your voice. Every question is a choice. Knowledge isn't just surviving. It's the reason we're alive and thriving. Feed the mind, feed the soul. The duality real makes the whole world think.
Another banger from Evil Eddie. He keeps making so many of these songs. I have to keep up with them. So hope everyone's doing well tonight. And I just decided to pop on and I want to talk about minimalism. Earlier this afternoon, I was able to sell an extra pair of skis that I had and some ski boots, and I noticed I kind of felt a certain feeling like, wow, that was good to sell them. And I only sold them for like $50 to some, teenage kid, and I was glad to just see him, use them. If he even offered me a lower price, I probably just wouldn't have cared. Um, so it got me kind of thinking because I've started to kind of use Facebook Marketplace recently, and I just started selling like old crap. Not old crap that I have, but I had, way too many chainsaws. I got a ton of snowboards and skis and all this stuff. And I keep thinking, oh, I'm going to use this. I want to keep it for later, in case I need a backup snowboard and all this stuff. And you just start to have way too much stuff and clutter around you and things that you intend to use, but you don't. So I tend to kind of hoard a little bit. I kind of don't. I kind of like a cluttered environment. I've noticed. I tend to think a lot of things are going to have a use for later, and they often do, but that can be a really long time before you use it. A lot of the hoarder mentality is actually from our grandparents. It usually skips a generation because what happened for our grandparents, or some of us, the Great Depression. During the Great Depression, you kept every coffee can, you kept everything because you could maybe like rig something up, do something with it. Oftentimes you can, but also that mentality has you just keeping stuff way too long. Thinking you're going to do a project with it or something like that. Or you think it's something nice, you want to keep it, or oh no, I'll give it to somebody, or something like that. And I just kind of notice, maybe the less items you have, maybe actually the more free that you are. I mean, because you start thinking about it, that's what monks do. They don't really own much. They own, like a couple of items, and but I think that kind of, weighs them down less somehow. I think there's actually something to that. And if you extrapolate it farther, let's say you live in the city or something like that. Do you actually need a car? Could you just use a bike? So you get rid of the car insurance, the car payment, um, things like that. I'm not saying people should do this, but I'm starting to play around with the idea of it too. Um, so I think I think there's something to it. As men, we can live in an apartment just fine with like a camping chair, a mattress, and like a TV and a computer or something like that. We kind of naturally kind of want to do that. But a lot of our current society has kind of made it so we use them like I've said, a couple times before of like for some people materialism is their god. And there's some truth to that. They want like boomers and stuff. They want a boat. They want the lake house. They want their regular truck and their classic car. Um, you know what I mean? Um, um, yeah, OGT is right, and so I know OGT has said he thinks like gardening is like the new punk rock, and I think there's some truth to that. Why? Because you don't need to consume all the time. You can do it, and you don't need to like spend gas in your car to go to the store to then retrieve the items and things like that. I think that is kind of gonna be the kind of the move coming up, basically. OGT writes in again. This planet is a distraction. Less is more. Food, clothing, shelter. All of it is perversion. Yeah. That might be true, OGT. I'm a little bit more of a Gnostic view, and we have a kind of a similar view to that. We view it as more of kind of a like a prison thing. So we're basically thinking the same thing. Who runs the shit? I don't actually know, but it's messed up. So yeah, we have rampant consumerism, and we're told that consumerism is success. Consumerism will make you happy. I know for a lot of women, they love to shop, and it's usually vapid bullshit. It's another bag, another item of clothing, more makeup, more hairspray, so on and so forth. We get dopamine from consuming. We're told to go out into the marketplace and interact with people. Um, that's what malls are. Malls are just there to get you to buy things. And a lot of these things are dying out now, but people are still ordering them online. So, um, like well, just today, I ordered I put in an order for like an electric. It's like a bicycle, but it's also kind of electric too. So you can pedal it, but it can also be sort of like an e-bike too, and it has like a nice rack on the back. And I kind of just said to myself, instead of me starting my truck up and driving it downtown, driving it back, spending like freaking $8 in gas, why don't I just use the e-bike, get exercise, spend less on fuel, oil, starting your truck, less liability of, hitting someone, hitting an animal when you're driving it, or some other idiot on the road, things like that. Where are things that you can do to save money? Because this mindset is makes you more resilient. So if there is an economic downturn, you're going to be like, okay, I'm actually pretty happy with less. You know what I mean? Like, so, but it doesn't mean less in quality. So, for example, this is kind of like what I do have a couple plants, house plants, but I'm thinking like, you could have a couple house plants, but let's just say you didn't. Let's just say you had a very small space. You could have one plant, maybe a bonsai tree or something like that, but keep it perfect, perfectly pruned. Make it a masterpiece, okay? Maybe you have one book at a time. You read that whole book, you read it thoroughly, you complete it, you get another book, a different book. Even bring it to the library, bring it back. Okay? You do have a video game. One video game system, one game that you download or whatever, complete that game, go to the next game. When you have minimalism, you complete something more. You're more engaged with that thing. It's less analysis paralysis. I could do this game. I could do this game. I could do this game. This one over here. Oh, I forgot. I forgot about this one. So, or maybe you have one of those game stick things that doesn't take up a lot of space, and it has like 1,500 older games like Mario and shit like that. So that's kind of what it got me thinking. And kind of when it comes to men, we start thinking like, oh well, we need a lot of tools. so I can do projects. I need a shit ton of tools, and I kind of thought like, well, maybe you don't. Maybe sometimes you don't need a bunch of tools. Just have a few tools that you need with the skill sets that you have, the basics, and you can also get very nice tools. You know what I mean? Like I was like I had way too many chainsaws around, so I just sold some on Facebook Marketplace. And kind of the more I started selling them, I was like, wow, it's kind of nice just having like less. Um, if you haven't used something in a year, consider selling it or something like that. Like this is a new way that I'm trying to start to think like, because it's good in a lot of ways. It makes you more mobile. It makes you have less kind of attachments to things. Like I notice like some things around you kind of have an attachment to it. You're like, oh well, those skis there, like the skis that I sold today were my first pair of skis because I ski as well. And I was like, oh, they're my first skis. I don't want to sell them. Like, what if I want to use them again or something like that? It's like, well, I have another pair of skis and I have another pair of boots. Let somebody else enjoy this. I don't. But I noticed I had kind of like an emotional attachment to it. I actually kind of didn't want to sell it for some reason, but then when I did, I was like, wow, I actually feel pretty good about that. And outside of the money, outside of the money. So when you're selling something, it feels better than just simply throwing it away. Sometimes I would have a harder time throwing something away because, like, oh, well, this has use to it. This still has value. I could use it for something. So let me go. Um, and OGT writes in, God is testing us for our next job. Yeah, I do think God does test us here, and materialism might be one of those tests. It seriously might be. You guys have heard me say like materialism is a god for some people. It really is. And it's not a god that they necessarily worship, but it's to try to fill a void within themselves. So instead of realizing that they're not a good dad or something, they go out and get the Corvette because that distracts them, that makes them look cool, it gives them social status. Dante's Inferno writes in, I've been steering my wife towards minimalism. Uh, what you need to stay employed is a skill or many skills, yeah. What you can also do is wait till there is a sale. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not saying like don't consume things, but I'm just playing around. I want you guys to play around with the idea of it. What's up, Clayton? I always use Husqvarna. Yeah, I'm a Husqvarna guy. Um, it is important to consider you're still spending money. Spending on a sale means you're not spending as much. Yeah. So I'm just saying I want you to think about this. You buy one game at a time. You complete that game. You buy one book at a time. You read it thoroughly. Read the fuck out of it. Write in it. Make notes or whatever. Absorb it. One thing at a time. Then you complete it. So, and you could even just bring it to the library or something like that, or I don't know, rent. I don't know. I don't really know like how you have to go about that. Digital storage is kind of a cool thing, but you have one plant. You take care of that plant as if it's a bonsai piece of art. Really care for it. Have less. What you have, keep it nice, keep it beautiful, keep it clean, keep it optimized or whatever. That's kind of the way that I'm changing my thinking a little bit is to try to do that. So another thing too is when we're thinking about less, we're thinking about just the need to have more stuff and consume. We are kind of addicted to consuming things um, because it makes you feel like you went out in the world, like you interacted, like you went to the grocery store or the town and you said hi to people and did all this stuff. But what if you grew some of your own food at home? If you tried to every time you leave your house, you spend money basically. So I'm not saying be a shut-in, but what I am saying, like the urge to consume is always it's ingrained into us. We're programmed to be consumers, buying new stuff, updating it. Like I have a car, but I need the car to have a better exhaust, and now I need the better air cleaner. Now I need to program it better. I need more, 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 more. That's part of it going against minimalism as well. So I'm not saying people should be hardcore minimalists, but um, you know, I'm changing from just driving my truck everywhere. I'm going to take that e-bike. I'm going to save on gas. And when I go to the store, I'm just going to put what I can put in the backpack or bring with the bike. So you can't get a whole bunch of stuff. You can't just go and buy, like I realized recently, like I go to a local farm now to buy most of my groceries, just like meat and eggs and cheese and a few things like that, and I pay them in cash. When you go to just a farm stand or a place with health, you don't get tempted to be like, oh, I want the flaming hot Cheetos, I want the Mountain Dew, I want these chicken tenders, I want this, I want that. It's the stores are difficult. They've designed it so you want to buy that stuff, or at least I found it, difficult. It's not necessarily that it's difficult. It's just that they're grabbing your attention to do it. If you're able just to go to your local farm stand or farmer, where there's not all this bullshit in there, you don't have all that analysis paralysis. You're like, oh, well, there's basically only healthy choices here, so I'm just going to do that. Then after a while, you're just like, well, I'm just going to have the healthy choices. I don't need, like, 50 types of macaroni and cheese. Um, Yeah, when I go to exactly, I pay my local farm stand guy in cash, and I said I might cut some trees for him for like meat or something like that eventually. Um, so start doing that. It's one of the best things you can do for your health, and like the consumerism is also related to the food. And I started to realize this when I did a lot more fasting lately. I did like I've always done a little bit of fasting, but I did like a 4-day fast recently. And that really changed a lot because the fasting can help you save money because you're not getting, even just drinking alcohol. Like I used to drink kind of a lot. But when you're drinking, then you want chips, then you're smoking weed, and then you want, you know, you're hungover, so you get the breakfast sandwich on the way to work, and then you get the coffee, and then like the energy drinks, and then oh, you got to buy some beer for after work and all that. So you're just in these stores all the time, buying shit all the time, and we're like so used to that. Especially if you're a blue collar person, you're in these gas stations and convenience stores constantly buying stuff. You just are. So that's the idea that I want to explore a little bit tonight, and there's like a little bit of a video on it. The art of needing less. Um, Thoreau's blueprint of a life for clarity. So Henry David Thoreau.
A man stands in the middle of a crowded city street. Around him, people hurry with shopping bags in both hands, checking their phones, rushing from one obligation to the next. Billboards flash promises.
Yeah, pay in cash when you can. Especially, go to your local farmer, pay him in cash. Try to eat organic food without all this bullshit in it. Like this is what I start, and I'm not, this is what I started doing. My local farmer, the food is much more expensive. It happens to be a little closer, so I was like, oh, I can save on gas. Like, it's maybe double the price, but I eat a third of what I did. So when I'm eating like the best food you can get. I'm eating like lamb and all this stuff that's like organic without any bullshit in it. And then I'm eating like maybe once or twice a day. So I would rather spend in cash and give him the money and eat a higher quality product, which my body gets more fuel, more nourishment, more energy, more light in that food, less Jews fucking with it along the way, you know, and people like that's another thing too. All the people who are handling your food kind of like put some of their intention into the food a little bit. So if you want to get food that's handled by the least amount of people possible and someone who's like, kind of a nice, good person, I guess, ideally, you could just live off eggs. Try some of these things because you start to see that, like, wait a minute, we don't need all this stuff. We don't need, you know, even music. You know, maybe just listen to one band at a time, listen to one type of music at a time, really absorb it and get it instead of listening to 50 things and being all over the place. The more you have, the more fragmented you are. If you think about it a little bit, the more fragmented you are. Dante writes in, we have an egg steamer to cook our hard-boiled eggs. Steamers or pressure cookers is the best way for boiled eggs. Air bombing a marathon. Come on now. Oh my god. So, I'm considering more living this way. Um, and that means like I'm even considering like selling some equipment that I have. Just have less of everything. Like, but what you have can be the best, can be very good as well. You know, and you can take very good care of it. So that's another thing too. Um, that could be an interesting thing to explore.
Of more success, more beauty, more approval. The noise is endless, the pace exhausting. Yet in the midst of it all, he is still. He carries little. He needs even less. Most of us are trained to ask only one question. How can I get more? More money, more recognition, more security. We chase these things as if they hold the secret to freedom. But Henry David Thoreau.
And what is more money, more recognition, and more security? Those are generally material. People look. They think the outlet for that is material objects, material success. He has a yacht. He must be killing it. He could be soulless and empty inside. He could have sold his soul. He could have sold his soul to get the yacht. So then you have the yacht and you don't have your soul and your health. So what the fuck are you really doing? There's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people that view success as strictly that way. Our current society doesn't value the inner world, the inner worth, the inner happiness. There are some people like me, like I would rather have less and not be a corporate slave. I will take more risks, doing tree work and stuff to be my own boss and not have to do some corporate bullshit. I'm not doing it. I'm like allergic to it. I can't do it. I'm not doing it. Period. But for me, that's a form of wealth. I have a shit ton of time that I can do whatever I want. That's a form of wealth. A lot of people don't have that. Whiteout writes in, one thing I will consider before buying, giving it up, is will you need it or you want to use it later? It happened to me once. I threw away socks and X bought for me today. Felt great. Yeah, we have attachments to some of these things. Whether we like, I didn't really kind of know this till kind of recently. I started figuring this out. We kind of do, particularly clothes. And I was looking at a thing where it's like a Chinese thing. So if they have clothes or something, you have old clothes, cut scissors in part of the clothes, and they say that kind of like makes the energy go away of it, and then throw it out. Clothes are really good to burn, by the way, too. If you're looking to like, burn shit, clothes actually burn really well. A lot of them are actually kind of plastic based, and they burn really well. Uh, more is basically a prison of more. Yes. Um, Carlos writes in, that's how I am with music lately. I only listen to music song to song, listen to it over and over, and only a few songs at a time over and over. Loving a Strange World by Parade Ground right now. Yeah, I think that's better because you're fully absorbing the music fully. You understand the intention of the author or the musicians. You can probably sing the lyrics. You understand that you've like downloaded it, integrated it, and then you go on to the next thing. You know, just a thought, but it's a more focus on completion. So you do one book at a time, you complete that book. One video game at a time, complete that game. Um, so on and so forth. Dante writes in, I play Living the Daylights out of my old patch the Living Daylights out of my old work jeans until they're virtually unusable. Yeah, I do that a lot too. That's another thing too. Most of us have like double the clothes that we need, and we're like, oh well, I'll wear this on. This would be a good like rain suit or something like that. You don't really wear it much, you know. So we could all have a lot less.
Rowe turned the question upside down. He asked instead, how can I need less? Thoreau's answer was radical because it revealed a truth most of us are afraid to face. Freedom does not begin when you finally have enough. It begins when you realize you already do. Clarity does not come from adding more layers to life. It comes from stripping them away until what remains is real. So the question is not how much you can gain, but how much you can let go. And the man who dares to ask that question discovers a
I don't know what the hell this is right here.
kind of wealth the world cannot touch. From the moment we are old enough to understand words, the world whispers a single story into our ears. If you want to be happy, you need more. More toys as a child, more grades as a student, more money as an adult.
And what do they do with the kids? You need more skins in this video game. You need this new like mystery box bullshit Fortnite thing or something like that. You need the new maps. You need the new updates. That's another thing. You need the new updates. I don't know why they update the iPhone. It always has worked fine for me. The updates mostly mess it up. They just tell you it's for security purposes or something like that. So that's another thing too, which we've talked about, which is that damn, what's that law? The technology one where it's doubling all the time. For technology, just every 2 years the next laptop is better and better and better and better and better. It's like, well, do you actually need that? If you just played one game at a time and then deleted that game, you'd have the processing power. If have more of that mentality, and maybe you can just put everything else you're not using on memory sticks and just do that way.
And when you finally have these things, the story changes again. Now you need a bigger house, a faster car, a shinier title, a longer list of accomplishments. The story never ends because it was never designed to. Psychologists call this the paradox of choice. The more options we collect, the more restless we become. Every new purchase is supposed to bring relief, but instead it opens the door to comparison. If you have 5 shirts, you wonder which looks best. If you own 50, you wonder if you are behind on the newest style. What was meant to satisfy becomes a source of stress. And still, society pushes the narrative forward. The market thrives on your sense of lack. Advertising does not sell products, it sells dissatisfaction. It whispers that you are falling behind, that you are not successful enough, not attractive enough, not respected enough. And so you work harder, spend more, and accumulate things that quietly begin to own you.
Let me go back to that. This is a really good analogy. And this is the way I'm starting to look at things. So you see this guy here? This the things you own perhaps can add its own psychological weight in ways that we're not really aware of. Um, in some ways this can be, this is a car payment, this is a mortgage, this is my RV payment, this is the boat, this is my hobby car, this is the self-storage unit of all the stuff I didn't put away yet. You know, here's some family heirlooms that I don't know, I didn't know what to do yet. Here's all my old gaming systems. Oh, I don't want to throw away my old PS1. because that might be worth some money or something like that. I had a bunch of games and shit like that, and I was like, yeah, I like these old Resident Evil games and stuff, but am I really gonna use it? Not really. Like we could move on from it. Like you know, we got to move on from these things. You can still find a way to download it again and enjoy it or something like that. Um, yeah, me too, Clayton. I have one. I have like the iPhone 11 or something like that. Um, Matt can come in too. What's up, Matt? What do you think about minimalism? I'm starting to actually kind of like this more. I
Well,
feel kind of a wise. I'm not saying full blown minimalism, but I think we're programmed to be consumers, just buy more stuff. Even when it comes to guns, people have. I know so many people that have way more guns than they know what to do with. You
well,
really
first of
just
all,
need a couple of guns.
first of all, let's back that statement. I'm going to stop that statement right where in the tracks where it starts. There is no such thing as having more guns than you know what to do with. Okay? Do you understand why I say that? Because you don't know, because in your country you're supposed to be allowed to have militia, and that is what you use to arm against government. That's the reason why you have that Second Amendment.
Yeah. Well, let's take guns out of the equation. Like
Good
that's
plan.
maybe one item. That's one item where you can make that argument. But I'm saying like most other stuff, or there's a lot of other things like clothes. Like how many jackets do you actually need? How much bullshit do you need in your house? Do you need more than one table? Do you need to have what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
thinking like kind of having less it actually frees your mind more. I think there's actually something to. I think that's why kind of monks do it and stuff like that. I think it's less material items like pulling on them in a sense. I think there's something to that.
Well, let me tell you this. Let me give you a rundown of my life. I'm 41 years old. I still live in mom and dad's basement. I have lost everything, okay, except my truck, which was a military truck that I kind of held on in case shit hits the fan, kind of thing. Um, and I'm hanging in there by duct tape and glue. Everything I have, I've been figuring out how to use free and open source everything, so that way I can keep the cost down to a bare minimum of zero. All right. If you want to know about minimalist, I'm forced into that minimalist mentality.
Hmm.
So the only thing I can do right now is some of the having a better stoic output is having fewer wants, and somehow I'm still here.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the reason why I'm bringing a lot of this up is there's been articles in the future that saying like in 2030 you'll own nothing and like it. They want you to have everything subscription based and things like that. I'm not saying you got to give them what you want, but I'm saying if there's an economic downturn, wanting less, needing less, being less codependent, more self-sufficient, um, less attached to things and outcomes. I think that is going to be a valuable skill going forward that we can kind of consider now.
Well, here
The
let's do it
old
this way.
model of boomers, they wanted more, they need more, they get more, they have all this stuff, and the accumulation of wealth is it's sort of a good thing, but I think now we need to sort of go the opposite way a little bit. What you have, take perfect care of it, value it, use it as many ways as you can, um, and I think that's going to be a valuable way for like men to go. Don't spend all your money on like bullshit. You know, keep it for what's valuable. Get the best um, bow and arrow. Don't have three shitty ones. Get like the best one. Something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a new outlook for people.
So you work harder, spend more, and accumulate things that quietly begin to own you. Because that is the dark twist in the story. The more you have, the more you must protect. The more you chase, the more you fear losing. And what began as freedom, the freedom to choose, the freedom to achieve, turns into its opposite. A man chained not by scarcity, but by abundance. Think about it. The man with nothing to prove can walk lightly. He is not haunted by the fear of slipping from his pedestal. But the man who has built his identity on possessions and titles carries them like armor, heavy, restrictive, exhausting. The very things he believed would liberate him now confine him. And yet, in quiet moments, a question surfaces. If more is the path to happiness, why do those with the most often feel the least at peace? Why do so many who reach the peak of success confess to emptiness? Why does the hunger never stop? The truth is simple, though rarely admitted. More is not designed to fulfill you. It is designed to keep you running. A moving target ensures the chase never ends. And the more you believe in the promise of more, the less you notice the toll it takes on your clarity, your freedom, your soul. This is the trap. A world that convinces you to measure your life by accumulation, while hiding the fact that accumulation has no finish line. A game where you are always one step behind, no matter how much you win. Thoreau saw through this illusion. He recognized that the cost of needing more was nothing less than life itself. Time traded for possessions, presence traded for appearances, freedom traded for comfort.
Yeah, the freedom traded for comfort, the time traded for possessions. I want you to think of it too in the terms of your health. How
Oh,
much of your body, mind, and soul are you going to give to some corporation so you can like get some shitty health insurance or something like that? It's a trade-off for everybody, but some people sell like in these meaningless bullshit jobs that are soul sucking. Your body's being sucked from it too. You're being around these negative people. You're getting up with an alarm clock every day. You're inside getting no sunlight, no fresh air. You're around some dumb Karen. You gotta like pretend to like fantasy football and all this bullshit that they do. That can be killing some people. Your health is gonna be dog shit. And you're gonna be weak as hell too. You're just inside a building all day. You're gonna be weak as hell. Yeah, get the likes up, guys, if possible.
hey, I got something to add. Okay, it's
Sure.
kind of slightly off topic, but it's kind of brings you. You kind of see where I'm going with paralleling with this. You remember all those TikTok trends of those people who are screaming on EBT that that all the shit that they have because it was all being disappeared from them.
Poisonous food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have these single mothers with like 12 and a half kids, and they're like, how am I going to feed all of this if my EBT is only, was it $100 a month?
Buy
And
all vegetables.
well,
There you go.
here's the thing. Here's what I'm trying to talk about. If you have the ability, if you have a cell phone and you have the ability to record yourself and put yourself on TikTok and YouTube, then clearly you have an internet connection. So clearly you can go onto YouTube and learn how to can food. You can learn how to process food and do things better with yourself. You don't need all the dandelions that grow into some of these mismanaged houses because you can tell these single moms haven't mowed the lawn and like since they got to their little
Yeah.
shithole. You know,
Yeah.
all of that
They
stuff
don't
could be
mow their
turned into a
lawn, but
salad.
they sure as do trim their bush.
I'm just saying that they could turn all of that into a salad to feed their kids, and it would cost
Yeah.
$0. You know
And heal them. Their liver
exactly.
and all this garbage and stuff like that. It would definitely help. But that does go towards the minimalistic. So the minimalism can also be. It doesn't necessarily have to be have less. It's require less from the system. So what Matt's talking about, you don't need to go to a store and buy it. You can go out in your yard and pick it. You can go out into the woods and you can pick berries and that's what hunting is. We're just getting it from the environment. Uh, and that's going to be something with no GMO, none of the bullshit. Um, there's a lot of things that go to your local farm and just get things from there is the best thing that you can do. So it doesn't necessarily mean have less, but the less you require from the system and external sources, kind of less of a consumer you are. Then the system hates this. They don't like this. But it helps you keep your money, keep your energy, keep it gives them less power. It gives the external less power basically. The mic volume's a little low. Let me see if I can turn that up. Thanks for saying that. What about now? Is that better?
It's good.
Okay, yeah, turn it up all the way. I have like a gaming mic. It's like $16. But that's what I'm saying. I have this and it's, $16 or whatever. You don't need the best stuff. Like this ring light, I took it once, I found it for free. Other things you can do and you can get cheap. Like I said, hustle, sell things that you are not using. Um, you know, um, Try to become self-sufficient. If you go fishing, eat the fish. How about that? Don't throw it in. Eat it. Cook it. There you go. You don't have to you know, buy a piece of GMO salmon with red 40 on it. That's way overpriced. Go get your own salmon. Do things like this. I really think that's another part of minimalism is the self-sufficiency. I think that is another factor to this that they're not necessarily talking about.
And he chose differently, which leads us to the question he lived, not just asked. What if the secret is not to collect more, but to learn how to need less? In the summer of 1845, Henry David Thoreau left behind the noise of Concord, Massachusetts, and walked 2 miles into the woods. On the edge of Walden Pond,
He's a masshole, and he went up to New Hampshire.
he built a cabin with his own hands. It was a single room, rough timber and stone, nothing anyone would envy. A bed, a chair, a desk, a small fireplace. By society's standards, it was a life stripped bare. But for Thoreau, it was a deliberate act of wealth. He was not running away from the world. He was running toward a deeper encounter with it. He looked around at his fellow citizens, working endless hours to pay for houses, filled with things they scarcely used, rushing from task to task, trapped by obligations that multiplied with every possession. And he asked a dangerous question. What if the cost of this pursuit was greater than its reward? At Walden, he sought to test another way of living. He grew beans in a small field. He fetched water from the pond. He kept careful accounts of every expense, showing that a man could live on a fraction of what society claimed was necessary. But beyond the numbers, what he gained was immeasurable. He discovered that life becomes richer when it is not burdened with excess. His days were filled with long walks in the woods, listening to the calls of birds, watching the...
So what else is important about this too? Where he's not necessarily he is isolating himself a little bit, but why would somebody do that? They want to when people go through a period of isolation, they leave the society, they go through the period of isolation. Isolation is often transformation. So when they go back to the society, they're then changed. What's happening during that time of isolation? You're emptying your mind, shutting up, and letting your intuition develop in a sense. When he's listening to the sounds of the woods and taking nature walks, he's quieted the noise of his mind. So, this is not necessarily where there's a city, but in a city you have, an ambulance over there, cars honking over there, some broad yelling over there, radio signals, wireless, all like so much stimulation going on where you can't develop your own mind, your own thoughts. Pray if you want to, journal, do dream analysis, a bunch of these things. That is a lot of, develop yourself physically and mentally. Those things can create a big transformation in somebody. Find inner peace. Sometimes inner peace is just the removal of dog shit, of distractions, of bullshit, of noise. and you quiet the mind. Um, like I think there's a couple, maybe a quote somewhere like when you quiet the mind, God can speak to you or something like that. So part of that's true. Part of that is where you find a lot of peace, and you don't necessarily have to participate in the society. We have a kind of a sick society a little bit right now. So in some ways, I don't want to call this being. It's not being a loser because that's what they want to paint it as. But like, it's kind of okay to be a loser in a society that's run by like pedophile demons. Sorry, I'm not winning in that society. I don't want to be number one in that. I'm sorry. I have a soul. I don't really want to be, putting all my time and energy into that. So that's another way of looking at it. If you want to have your own philosophy on life, you got to kind of do what he's doing. You got to think about it. And a lot of people, women, but some men too, they would be terrified of this. A lot of times when you have to sit with your own thoughts, that's when some of your own inner demons come out, and you got to figure it out, work through that, understand what's happening.
You
What's
know
up,
what else?
Keyshawn?
You know what else too? Not only do you want silence, you want to fast while you're doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. That's part of what got me onto a whole bunch of this minimalism was just the fasting. Because when you fast, your mind quiets down, but you have less of the consumer drive. You're like, I'm not even going to go to a store because they're going to just want you to consume. I'm just not going to go. I'm just going to like drink water and have salt and just not going to go. I'm not going to watch TV with commercials and they have Applebee's commercial and now you're like horny for like a cheeseburger and you were like fine before. So the imagery and everything is to brainwash you to consume more. Carlos writes in, I just saw an Instagram story about a 51-year-old engineer who moved to Alaska in the late 60s, built his own cabin, hunted. Yeah, his name's like Simo or something like that. I know what you're talking about. And many people do that, but you don't necessarily have to go to Alaska. Like, here's the thing. A lot of people fetishize Alaska. Alaska probably sucks. Do you want to live in darkness like most of the year? I don't.
I do.
That will get you depressed. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could do that, personally. I get seasonal depression here as it is. I don't know if I could do that shit. I don't think I'm built for it.
What you
I
do
can deal
is
with the cold and stuff.
just get yourself a big infrared light. You'll be okay.
I'm going to buy an infrared light this year. And I want to do a little bit of a show kind of on like red light therapy and seasonal depression and stuff like that. But it's still the middle of the summer, so I still have a lot.
Yeah. Here's another thing too. It's okay to be a loser because you're talking to one. All right. So if everyone calls you a fucking loser, so what? Who gives a shit? It's just you, your mind, starving yourself and thinning yourself out. Who cares if you're a loser?
But what I'm trying to say is that's part of the lie of the society. Because if you're not a consumer and a slave to the consumerism and trying to get more on the hamster wheel, then they're saying like, oh, you got to hustle and grind more. How come you're not hustling and grinding till you have an ulcer? You got to hustle and grind way more. You got to. I don't care. Like some people have the mentality like I don't like. If someone pays me enough money, I'll do anything. It's like I don't know. Maybe that's for some people. Maybe it's not. I would rather have less money than work at any type of corporate job or work with people I hate. I just don't want to do it. My health will actually show that in the long run that I did make the better choice. So a lot of this sort of minimalism and everything has a lot to do with your health because you're less for example, like these people who are trying to biohack and do all this stuff. It's generally through a consumerism. Oh, I need the ice bath thing. I need the red light therapy. I need these other vitamins. I need to do blood testing every month. I need a personal trainer, and now I need this other gym, and now I need you know, better workout gear, and I need the Stanley Cup, with athletic greens and shit like that. It's also to get you to buy more, do more. They also think you must take in to improve your life, when sometimes it's actually push it away, and you can improve your life. Let me see this here. I don't think I could adjust. I don't think I could either, man. So I'm not trashing Alaska. I'm just saying people tend to fetishize it a lot. Like, oh, I'm just gonna move to Alaska and do whatever I want. It's like, yeah, like that might, it sounds cool, but you know, I don't personally think it's for me.
You know
The
what?
ice rake on the pond.
What you do when you have the midnight sun, what I've seen people do, at least in the Yukon, they'll have um, different bedrooms in their house, and they'll have
And then
one
black it
particular.
out.
Yeah, well, one
Yeah.
particular bedroom has no windows at all.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, just so that you can sleep, because it will be a black room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tracing the slow turn of seasons. These were not idle hours, they were hours of attention. Thoreau believed that in simplicity, the mind wakes up. The less he carried, the more clearly he could see. He wrote, "A man is rich in proportion to the number of things he can afford to let alone." To most, that sounded like madness. To Thoreau, it was liberation. He redefined wealth not as accumulation, but as freedom. Freedom from debt. Freedom from social comparison. Freedom from the constant anxiety of needing to keep up. Critics mocked him, accusing him of play-acting poverty, of shirking responsibility, but they missed the point. Thoreau did not advocate misery. He was not glorifying lack. He was demonstrating sufficiency, the art of knowing when enough is enough. He was
Yeah. Self-sufficiency.
shirking responsibility, but they missed the point. Thoreau did not advocate misery. He was not glorifying lack. He was demonstrating sufficiency, the art of knowing when enough is enough. He was showing that a man with little, if it is the right little, may live more abundantly than a man with much. This was not asceticism for its own sake. It was an experiment in clarity. He wanted to prove that by stepping outside the machinery of endless want, you could rediscover the essence of life. Reflection, creativity, communion with nature, and the courage to think for yourself. And that is why Walden endures. The cabin is gone, but the idea remains. In a world
I've actually been to this cabin, or I've driven past it before.
that keeps telling you to add more, Thoreau reminds you that subtraction can be
I
the
think it's in like Derry, New Hampshire, or something.
greater power. By needing less, he found space to hear his own soul, and that blueprint is still here, waiting for anyone willing to try. Thoreau may have lived in the 19th century, but modern science has only confirmed what he intuited in the woods of Walden. He believed that life became clearer when stripped to its essentials. Today, psychologists, neuroscientists, and sociologists are proving him right. Start with the mind. Psychologists describe a phenomenon called decision fatigue. Each choice we face drains a small measure of mental energy. A closet crammed with clothes, a phone buzzing with endless notifications.
Yeah. So I also want to talk about like part of the health part too. Um, in a sense, this is a little bit of a mental. I believe that your body will quote age slower if you didn't live with a clock on the wall, if you didn't have so many obligations to be there, and you kind of lose track of time. I believe the body can age slower because it can like trick itself. I think that's an important thing too. Like I also think one of the best like a form of wealth is you can get up without an alarm clock. That's a form of wealth because you can let your body sleep to when it needs to. Now, ideally, you want to get up and down with the sunlight and do that, but that's kind of hard. But that's like the way the body is wired. But think about the ability to sleep in when you need it. I'm not talking about you're wasted and you're hungover or something like that. I'm talking about, you know, instead of having to be at work at 7:30, you can sleep until that 7:30 and then perform much better during that time. Those things I think have a cumulative effect and really help your health. Um, Dante was stationed at the Pacific Northwest for 4 years. It was depressing. Glad he got back to the Mid-Atlantic region. Yeah. So, um, Dante also writes in, "I hate freaking commercials." Yeah, because commercials is a command to consume. Basically, it's an affirmation to like consume. They're casting a spell on you to consume.
You know
A
what's
schedule
wild?
filled with back.
You know what's wild? Nobody knows how to make a really good television commercial. Like you go and you look that up on YouTube and all that. You go and find anything. It's like a protected technology. You can't find it. How to make a good television commercial. And it's always followed by a bad food, some kind of cell phone, a car, or some drug, right? And you look at it takes to go and make these miraculous commercials so that you can go and buy more shit that you don't need. And yet nobody knows how they're actually making them in the first place.
Well, they use a lot of like subliminal imagery is one thing that they use. There's a lot of like imagery in it. Hot women definitely help. Um, shit like that. Food is always a good seller because we have a drive that we want food. We see the food like sizzling there. You're like, oh god damn, I want to eat now.
To back obligations, each adds invisible weight to the brain. Over time, the result is exhaustion, irritability, poor judgment. When you simplify, when you reduce options, you don't just save time. You reclaim cognitive energy. Clarity expands because your mind is no longer clouded by trivial choices. Neuroscience goes further. Studies show that minimalism reduces activity in the amygdala, the part of the brain associated.
And see how powerful this can be? Why do you think monks are doing this? Why do you think people who go even a Christian monastery or whatever, why do you think they're doing this? There's something to it. They don't want to be a part of the material world. They want to give their mind to God or being spiritual, like whatever they're trying to do. There's a formula for this. This is one of the foundational things. And you can have some of this flavor in your life.
With stress and anxiety, a tidy environment lowers cortisol levels, fewer possessions, fewer distractions, less stimulation, all free the nervous system from constant overload. What Thoreau felt in his cabin by the pond, science now measures in brain scans and hormone levels. Needing less literally calms the body. Sociologists point to another effect. People with lower material needs display higher resilience during economic downturns. When the financial system shakes, those who have built their lives on constant consumption face collapse. But those who require little adapt more easily. They bend instead of breaking.
And we saw this during COVID. People who constantly consume and need to go to the store and they're not prepared for anything. They can't go a day without like ice cream or their microwave pizza and shit like that. They're cooked.
That's the sign of a parasite. You know that, right? If you can't.
Yeah. This could be a good thing to adapt in the future.
In a volatile world, needing less becomes not just a spiritual choice, but a survival strategy. Happiness research confirms the same lesson. Beyond a certain threshold.
This is also like a Taoist thing too, like a way that they would look at it.
Wealth and possessions add little to well-being. A larger house may excite briefly, but soon it becomes the new normal. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation, the treadmill that keeps you running but never arriving. Experiences, on the other hand, create lasting satisfaction, connection, creativity, mastery. These are the sources of durable joy, and all of them flourish when your life is not overrun by excess. Even consumer studies reveal the trap. People who spend money on status goods often report lower life satisfaction than those who spend on simple pleasures or invest in relationships. Why? Because status is always relative. The more you chase it, the more fragile it becomes. One promotion, one neighbor's new car, one friend's success can shatter the illusion. By contrast, the man who needs less is untouchable.
And this is part of what keeping up with the Joneses is, and I think why they also have built some suburban neighborhoods, so you have to see your neighbor and compare your neighbor. Like, live where you can't see your neighbor and don't give a shit about it. I think that's powerful.
Carries his wealth within. Science, then, gives language to what Thoreau embodied. Decision fatigue explains why his simplicity brought clarity. Cortisol levels explain why his solitude brought peace. Resilience studies explain why his voluntary poverty gave him strength. And happiness research explains why his life, though sparse, was abundant. The lesson is not that possessions are evil. It is that possessions are deceptive. They promise ease but demand maintenance. They promise status but create comparison. They promise freedom but bind you tighter to the wheel. By needing less, you reduce these hidden costs. You free the mind, calm the body, strengthen resilience, and open the door to genuine fulfillment. This is the science behind simplicity. It is not just philosophy. It is not just Thoreau's intuition. It is measurable, repeatable, undeniable. To need less is not to live in lack. It is to align your life with the way the human mind and body truly flourish. Thoreau did not claim to have all the answers. What he offered was a different way of seeing. His time at Walden distilled into a simple blueprint, a set of...
So, and another way of maybe looking at this is like, it's a paradox. Like, the less you need, the more abundant you can be. Because you're like, well, I have pretty much what I need, so I'm therefore like abundant. We think of, a lot of times things are inverse in our society where you like, doctors make you sick, like, things like that. So I think part of the this consumerism is bad. And Seagrip's here. Like, another thing about this more minimalistic and needing less, you just save more money. And that money is a representation of your energy that can, quote, buy you some freedom. So minimalism, I'm starting to see, is more of a path to freedom, because you don't need to spend your time so much at a corporate job, or you don't need to rely on the system so much, because you just don't need it. Like, in some ways, some homeless people are more free than anyone else. They don't have to listen to anyone. No one tells them what to do. They always seem to make it by somehow. They get lit on drugs as much as they want. They take trains to go across the country and stuff like that. They're not paying any taxes or anything. Like, in some ways, they're actually very free. So I'm not telling anyone to become this way. I'm trying to get you guys to think, consider this type of mindset a little bit, because there's going to be economic downturns coming up. There's going to be, it's also biblical. Look at Jesus. He didn't have much stuff with him. It's not like he had a cart of like, rickshaw and all this bullshit with him. He just didn't have much. He just, walked the earth, basically. So think of that a little bit. Again, that's what monks do. That's what a lot of religious figures do. It's for a reason. It can free up your mind. Like, I am just starting to see, like, if you sell something and get rid of it and you have less, it actually does kind of help free your mind a little bit. So if you have nothing at all, does that mean you're going to have a come to Jesus moment? Probably not. But you'll have less, you'll probably have some more clarity. You'll probably be more creative, concentrated, less distracted. That's all good stuff.
Principles that anyone can test for themselves. They are not rigid rules. They are invitations to step out of the noise and rediscover what life is made of when we stop trying to carry so much. The first principle is to redefine your needs. Most of us never pause long enough to ask what is truly necessary. We inherit our sense of need from television commercials, from neighbors, from the silent pressure of social comparison. Over time, wants become dressed as needs, and we run after them as if...
Yeah, Andrew Tate has like 15 supercars. This is bullshit. You know what I mean? That's kind of the trick here. What's his name? Jay Leno has like 97 fucking steam-powered rare cars and all that. He's not happy, guys. He needs to keep doing more to get more. Like, when is it going to be enough? Same with the money. Like, when will it be enough money for you? Does Elon Musk need $3 trillion or something? Then that's good. You see what I'm saying? Like less is kind of more in a sense. And once you accept what you have, then you can kind of become abundant. Or this is kind of a way that I'm going to start to look at things.
Our survival depended on keeping up. Thoreau refused to play along. In the woods, he tested the difference between what sustained life and what only cluttered it. Food, shelter, warmth, and a sense of meaning were enough. Beyond that, most of what society called necessary was a disguise for insecurity or habit. He discovered that once you strip life to its essentials, everything else is optional. This realization does not shrink your life, it sharpens it. Each false need abandoned is one less chain to carry. Each real need recognized is a solid stone on which you can build. The second principle is to practice voluntary simplicity. There is a world of difference between forced poverty and chosen simplicity. One is misery, the other is power. Thoreau did not glorify lack for its own sake. He chose to limit himself so that he could be free. By growing beans, mending his clothes, and keeping his cabin bare, he proved that a man could live on less without feeling less alive.
Ted Kaczynski did this as well.
In fact, he felt more awake than ever. Voluntary simplicity is not about rejecting the world. It is about refusing to let the world own you. Each subscription you cancel, each habit of consumption you release, is an act of independence. It is saying, I will not let the marketplace define who I am. Simplicity creates space for what matters most. Because every yes to another possession or...
Yeah, go from the consumer mindset to the creator mindset, the self-sufficient mindset. Like I've said before on other shows, like the culture is your operating system. Delete that culture, you create your own culture, create your own art, create your own food, create your own slang, create your own small community, create your own sport, create your own, cornhole with a flamethrower. So I don't know, do new things. You don't just have to be a part of this program of being a sheep of doing what they want, because they're just basically a consumer all the time. Carlos writes, I'm reading Robert Howard's Solomon Kane stories right now. He's a European 1600 homeless avenger, mostly walks around. I've been doing a lot of walking and wandering the last few weeks. Yeah. Also too, a lot of this, is health related. So a lot of kind of the less you consume from the external society, the more healthy you are in a sense, because maybe you're just eating one meal a day, and you say like, that's actually fine. I'm just going to eat one meal. I'm going to have a big, good meal, like it, and I might just have a ton of eggs and some greens and clean water. Your thing is echoing, Matt. Do you have YouTube on in the background?
No, YouTube's done.
Is it on speaker?
No, it's just your Streamlabs. It's the only sound produced.
Let me see if I have something else up here. Oh, that might have been me. I think that could have been me actually. Something. So, yeah, like I said, do one book, read it. Have one instrument, master it instead of like another thing too. When we have more, we spread ourselves too thin. I have 5 video games I'm playing, and you're not really gonna like beat or complete one. You have 5 books. You're reading. Even on our internet tabs, we have too many tabs open at once. We're not completing one thing. We have too many like half-ass goals instead of like one really good goal. Things like that. Also, too, wanting less means wanting less from women. Wanting less from even your friends. You can still be a great friend and get along well, but you require less from them. You're filling your own cup, basically.
Your obligation is a no to your time, your attention, your soul. Thoreau's choice was deliberate. He wanted to show that simplicity is not weakness, it is strength. The third principle is to shift from having to being. This idea was echoed later by the philosopher Erich Fromm, who distinguished between the mode of having and the mode of being. In the mode of having, life is measured by possessions, titles, and trophies. In the mode of being, life is measured by depth, creativity, connection, and...
Having is wanting, being is creating.
Inner growth. Thoreau lived fully in the second mode. He understood that joy found in objects fades quickly, but joy rooted in experience, in friendship, in creativity, lasts. A meal shared with a friend, a day spent in nature, an idea wrestled into words. These are riches no thief can steal, and no
And another thing too, like consumption is basically destructive. Creation is constructive.
Market can devalue. When you shift from having to be
sufficiency, I guess.
You stop asking what can I own and start asking how can I live. It is a quieter question, but it leads to a louder life. Thoreau's cabin was poor in possessions, but rich in moments. And in those moments he found an abundance greater than any fortune. The fourth principle is to protect empty space. Thoreau understood that clarity cannot emerge in a life crowded with noise. Just as a room cluttered with objects suffocates the eye, a schedule cluttered with tasks suffocates the soul. He made room for solitude, for stillness, for silence. He cultivated emptiness not as a void, but as fertile ground. In the physical sense, a cabin...
So I know we're talking about, mostly men here, but do you think women leave any time for reflection, stillness, thinking about what they did, how they affect other people? Probably not.
I've
Probably
met a
not.
few.
Probably not.
I haven't, to be honest with you, I have met a few, but they are kind of a strange breed of human. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, en masse, on average, no. And that's part of the reason they do that is because if they have to stop, like, they can't wait in a doctor's office for, like, a half hour without looking at their phone or anything. Why? Because that's when the carnival kicks in and they start to realize, oh, well, I actually lied to this person. I was being a hoe here. I shouldn't have had that abortion. All this stuff kicks in. So that's part of why they take the psychiatric drugs to shut that up, to stop that. So they can just be in this cabin and everything and have, instead of this true silence and intuition, it's a white noise. It's a dulling.
With little furniture gave him peace. In the mental sense, hours without distraction gave him thought. In the social sense, choosing a few deep relationships over endless shallow ones gave him strength. Today, we call this minimalism, mindfulness, or digital detox. Thoreau simply called it living. The paradox is clear. When you strip away the unnecessary, what remains is not emptiness, but presence. What looks like less from the outside feels like more from within. Protecting empty space is not laziness. It is discipline. It is creating room for life itself to breathe. Taken together, these four principles form Thoreau's enduring blueprint. Redefine.
So he's not talking about empty physical space per se that might be related to it, but he's just saying like time to let your mind wander, reflect, let all the processing catch up with yourself, things like that. Stop the constant onslaught of stimulation all the time of like work, emails, date night, walk the dog, go to the dump, do this, do that, like, you know what I mean?
What you need, practice simplicity by choice. Shift your focus from having to being and guard the sacredness of empty space. None of these are abstract ideas. They are practices anyone can begin today, and they all point to the same conclusion. Freedom is not found in adding more, but in daring to live with less. Choosing to need less is never a neutral act. It unsettles people. It challenges the assumptions on which modern life is built. And because of that, it comes with a price. The first cost is misunderstanding. In a culture where ambition is measured by accumulation, a man who deliberately steps away from the race is easily branded a failure.
Yeah, we don't need to necessarily hustle and grind harder, because we don't need to consume that much to begin with. Can be a new way of looking at things.
Neighbors may shake their heads, wondering why you refuse opportunities. Friends may tease you for living small, as if simplicity were weakness. Families may quietly worry that you are falling behind. Thoreau himself endured this.
Yeah, I am falling behind in the rat race because I'm not a rat sheep. That's kind of a good thing. Like, that's another thing too. Our society is messed up. It's inverted right now. A lot of people like, why are you not at work? It's a Tuesday. Why are you not at work? What are you doing? It's like, I'm doing actually what I want. You know what I'm doing? I'm not being a slave. That's what I'm doing. I'm just going to enjoy my life. I'm going to have my stress levels lower than you, because you have to go to work because you wouldn't even know what to do with your time without it. So a lot of it's related to health. The mind virus of like, you must produce, you must work 24/7, work, hustle, grind, get more, do more, buy more, get more payments. That's, the American mindset. And there's no room for, it's not laziness, it's active recovery. Like, hey, I'm just going to, like, recover my body. I'm not going to, like, look at these people when they're 50, 65 years old and they retire. they're dead in a couple years anyways. The average lifespan in America is 72 years old. So you get a couple years of retirement. Also, when you're in your retirement, you don't even know what to do with yourself because you don't know how to do those other things. What's up, Seagrip?
What's going on, brother? How's everything going?
Good. Well, what do you
Yeah,
think
you made
about this topic? Because I think you might
yeah,
like it because you're being a small hat. You like to
yes.
save, and I've started
I
no, but I've started to adopt this a little bit more. Like I got part of what's spawned to this. Like I'm ordering an e-bike, so I'm not like driving my truck everywhere, saving on gas. And then when I have the bicycle, I'm only taking like what I can put on the bike and in my backpack, and I'm just gonna like have less, do less. You know what? Like I'm not saying that's like, but I'm saying that's changing my mentality already before it's even here. It just like when we're consuming less, you have to like sometimes produce less, but that makes
careful.
even if you produce less, actually worth kind of more.
Be careful what you're saying because you're going against the grain, and
Yeah,
someone's going to come get you because you're refusing to participate and be meat for the meat grinder.
yeah, yeah.
Remember, 65% of our economy is based on consumer spending. We
We're in a
need you
consumer
out there
economy. Yeah,
spending.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so, and when you run out of money to spend, go out and f and borrow it. Get
yeah.
in debt.
Exactly.
That way, you have to go and work more, work longer, work more hours, so you can pay off that debt. But then, so you can go and spend more. So be careful.
Yeah,
Be careful, snowboard. Someone's going to come get you. You're going
yeah.
against
No,
the
they don't.
narrative.
They don't like this at all, and especially if you're self-sufficient. They don't like this, but like that's what I'm trying to say. Everything is set up for you to just to consume more. Like I go to a farmer that's like 2 miles up the road or so, and I just pay him in cash.
Hmm.
There's not 97 things of chips, soda, ice cream. Well, there is ice cream there, but there's way less shit that is designed to have you want to buy it. To you know have you get junk food that's addictive and all this stuff. Have you get alcohol there. All the alcohol and cigarettes are there and all this stuff. Like we really are trapped in this a lot of the time, and we're just so used to it because everyone else is doing that.
Think
But
about it.
but you're just hemorrhaging money all the time,
Think
and
about
and
it.
and it's
Since
just crazy.
since the time we were children, since the time we were babies, and our parents put us in front of the TV, Saturday morning cartoons, the commercials. A lot of us, we grew up on jingles, and so
Yeah,
da da da
brainwashed.
da da da, your way,
I'm loving it. Yeah,
Dexter passes pretty. Now it just happened. We grew up with all this stuff, and so there's a whole industry. I was telling someone, you think you're so smart, but I'm telling you right now, these marketers, these businesses, they're a whole lot smarter than you and me combined because they
it's a
have
science to get you to buy.
exactly it's
Yeah.
us and they've been perfecting it for well over a decade. So
Decades, more than that.
yeah, I
One
mean
of the
century.
people
I mean a
who
century.
almost kind of started this. No, one of the people who kind of started this was Sigmund Freud's
Mhm.
nephew,
Nephew.
Edward Bernays.
Yeah.
Edward Bernays and he created the modern like propaganda stuff, but it's only a few steps away from marketing things. I mean, they're selling you an idea, they're selling you a propaganda, so that's not far away from being a product, being Coca Cola, being Pepsi, being just insert Kellogg's and shit like that, a bunch of this stuff.
Well,
Um, so like we're programmed to do this, but we're on a rat wheel where we're just kind of like 80% of what we're doing is just to kind of consume more. So if you think about it, it's a lot of wasted energy and money and time and effort. Like part of what we're working is just to like It's simply to work to consume more in a sense, when it's not actually building any real wealth or um, you know, I think you kind of get what I'm saying.
Well, look what's happening now. Men, more and more men are refusing to participate in this rat race. We're refusing to participate in the game. And now you see in a lot of different cities how nightlife is dying.
Hmm.
Because we're not going out there, we're not spending, we're not consuming, we're not whining and dining these.
Yeah. Well, women in 304s are consumers, but they also want you to consume on their behalf as well. And that's like, half of what people spend waste their money on.
Hmm.
And if it's not directly on a woman, it's kind of indirectly on a woman because they're like, well, I need to have this cool car
Yep.
to impress people to that will then kind of get me more chicks.
Hmm.
And that kind of works because we live in a very materialistic society, but at the same time it's like at what price? You know what I mean? Did you had to work, like now basically you just have enough money to pay for that car and your food and you're more stressed. So like that's another thing too. All of this like consumerism I think can kind of give you cancer because you're so stressed all the time trying to keep up, trying to get the new shit, trying to well, you
Hmm.
better hustle and grind more. You're not hustling grinding enough. You need to work way more hours. You need to step it up. You're not working enough OT and stuff like. There's something to be said for hard work, yes, but also too it's like, maybe that affects your health. So maybe you got the car but now your kidneys are messed up. So did you really win? A lot of that stuff takes time to play out, and that's another way that I'm kind of looking at it too. It's like the health part of it. Like, do you want to work at a like I don't want to work at a soul sucking corporation. I'd rather work for myself, and if I have less money doing that and less benefits and stuff, I'm choosing to do that because I think that's the best thing for me, and that's what I value. But other people may not do that, but we're kind of told that like more is better, bigger is
Well,
better. And it's like, but I don't know, maybe the yacht, you have the yacht, but now you're sick afterward, and you're like, now I don't have my health either.
think about it. We were the whole school system was set up to make us more intelligent and efficient cogs so that we can be a part
Yeah,
of the machine. The whole
J.P.
system was designed for
Morgan made
that.
a lot of it, and it says, I don't want a nation of learners or educated people. I want a nation of workers. But he means factory working sheep,
Hmm.
basically. Um, and
Some
that but when we look around that's and the other sheep are doing that, we think that's what we should do, like I was saying today, like if it was a Tuesday and you're just sitting at home and people drive by your house, like, why are you not at work, why are you not working? They just want you to work for work's sake sometimes because like that's what they have to do and they think it sucks, so they want it to happen to you. So
because
I'm not negating work. I business owner, I have to work for free a bunch of times actually. So I'm not saying work is bad, but I'm saying like our mentality is a little bit it's a little off, I'd
it's more
say.
insidious than that, Snowboard. It's more insidious than that. Somewhere along the line, the powers that be decided that an educated and financially literate population is bad for big government and big business. Somewhere along the line, the powers that be made that decision because here's the thing, the fact of the matter is, if we had the right mentors and the right education, and you heard me say before, I wish I had a me um, in my life back when I was in my 20s, because the fact of the matter is, through investing, compound interest, knowing how the economy works, knowing how money works, and how it moves throughout the society, that the majority of us, if we were financially literate, and we grew up this way, and this was instilled in us, the majority of us would be able to retire self sufficient by the time we hit our mid 40s.
Yeah, yeah. But
Because
also
we,
too, they never educate you to do that too.
no,
They
no,
they, they want you to lack of a better term, nig money than get credit to do more. That's what they want because that puts it back into the economy. So they're kind of built it that way. Like
Well,
for example, if some people get, let's say you get $6,000 on a scratch card ticket or something like that, or you just come into some money, a lot of people will just go and pay off debt, which is good. But they don't like that. They're like, no, we want you to actually get another credit card and get
yeah,
another truck payment and do all this. Like we need that because we're also a printing money society too.
because because of fractional reserve lending, and because our economy and our monetary system is based off debt. When you pay off debt, you destroy that money.
Yeah,
You, and so, I mean,
and you're
it's a whole it's
self-sufficient
oh
too.
yeah,
You're not. They
it's
want
it's
you're
it's
not
it's
codependent on their printed money.
oh it's like I said, the system's insidious,
Yeah,
because once again, you know, once you start figuring things out and seeing how it works, I have this saying: the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the middle class just gets squeezed.
yeah.
And so, even when you look at our economy, there's a saying, it's, when you start looking at economies and the shape of them, right now we're in what's called a K-shaped economy, where if you look how a K is shaped, the top part of the K is the wealthy. And so they're the ones, what's keeping this economy going is literally the wealthy and big corporation and all this AI spending. That's one of the reasons why we're not in a recession right now. Um, and the poor is pretty much, funding their lives. The poor and middle
Yeah.
class, lower middle class are, are barely getting by, and they're using credit card debt to sustain
Pay for
themselves.
groceries and stuff.
Exactly. It you know there
It's a
this
parasitic model too. Is part
mhm.
like it's almost like the the host is us.
Yeah.
We're the hosts and they're parasiting off of us. That's what I'm
Hmm.
saying. So like it's actually very inverted in a way, but the more that we require them, the more that they kind of win. So if you start, like I said, start to just be a little bit more self-sufficient on your own, like try to, make some of your own food, or, you know, just buy it locally so it's not like, you know, a chain of 15 people who have handled it before you who clip off of that a little bit more. Give it to the guy, give the money directly to your neighbor. Go to your local farm and pay him in cash and buy that organic, non messed up meat, and give it to him, and it will circulate more in your community more. When you're giving it to these big corporations too, that money disappears. It just goes to the Walden family, who's got billions. So they're not
Hmm.
even really going to like use that money, and they're not going to put it. That's another thing too. BlackRock, these companies and stuff, they're not going to put it back into society. Warren Buffett has, $400 billion or whatever, and he has this famous thing. He's like, well, I only swing at pitches, the right pitches. So he's only going to invest in something where he can make like $15 billion. That's not a lot of stuff. So he's actually parasiting, holding that money and not letting it circulate back into the economy and stuff. And it's his right to not do that. I get it, but that's a lot of what's happening too. Like we're being parasited off of, especially if you're a middle class, lower middle class, like that's all the weight of the economy is kind of like on your back in a sense
Hmm.
to pay for everything. And it's time that I'm just trying to get people to have the idea of just require less.
Well,
You
think
know,
about it and how our tax system works. The what income gets taxed at the highest rate? Earned income.
hmm
Which income gets taxed at the lowest rate? Passive dividend reinvestment income.
yeah,
Who are the tax breaks for? You know, um, the business owners,
yeah,
not the employees.
yeah, yeah. It's it's not a sustainable system, and that's why I'm trying to. That's why I wanted to pitch this idea of want less, require less, be more
Mhm.
self-sufficient. Because when there is a economic downturn, you want to just be like, I can live actually without much.
Yep.
Like I've trained myself to be okay with that. And right now it's sad because women will not like this. They're not gonna like this. It's not gonna make you more attractive to a woman that you can just be like, yeah, I can pretty much like live with kind of nothing, and I'm pretty happy with that, or I can still have happiness without requiring all this stuff. Uh, you know, I don't have such a needy lifestyle where I need so much to feel like valuable, and I have to show people how much stuff I have. You're like, I'm not really worried about it. It's not going to make you popular with women. So women are the drivers of a lot of this too. Women are huge consumers, vapid consumers. They don't care about much. They want the guy who sold his soul for a yacht. They love that. They don't give a shit. Um, so, and for them, it's easier for them to kind of
Well,
they can be
because
consumerism because of their gash that helps them
exactly,
get some of the free goodies. So they
exactly.
they they can do that without the sweat equity.
Because at the end of the day, they can always extract resources from
Hmm.
men. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, they extract resources from the government. They extract
Yep.
resources from men. This is not sexist or misogynist. This is misogynistic. This is just a fact.
Yeah.
Women are the largest net benefiters of governmental assistance.
Yeah.
Women overwhelmingly um, want men who make more than them, who have more than them.
Yeah.
Women overwhelmingly want men to spend on them. And this is just no fact, and if a woman and this is and if there's a woman out here that do spend on a man, it's gonna literally be like maybe for every um $7 he spends on her, $7, $8 he spends on her, she'll spend two on him. What did Eddie Murphy what was that joke about Eddie Murphy when Eddie Murphy said about Johnny Carson and when he got divorced and the wife took all these millions of dollars from him and she and like how she get half and like she goes to the hairdresser store she goes to her little beauty salon does her little hair and brings home her check for $76 and like here Johnny just put this with the rest I want to do my share.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and society unfortunately is set up for the
Yeah.
average working
Yeah.
man
So
to
so another way
consume.
of maybe putting it is keeping up with the Joneses is actually simping.
Hmm.
I think there can be a new thing called being economic simp, where you need for example, kind of around me, the new official car of the NPC is a Ford Bronco. Everybody has a goddamn newer Ford Bronco around me, and the vehicle sucks. It's not a good vehicle. It's way overpriced. It's not quality and everything like that. But they're doing it as a small status symbol. Um, and some of that is economic simping. There is such thing as maybe economic simping. So economic simping could be it's not having your finances in order per se. It's an outward insecurity. I must show you um, how well I'm doing with the new car. But it's more of the sense of a facade. If people are doing well, they're going to see that they're doing well, Blake. You know what I'm saying? But it's doing it to create the illusion. And then you have to show, hey, here's my new car and stuff like that. I'm going to get the new wheels coming in and the better air filter and shit like that. Um, there's a lot of that kind of going on. And like I've said kind of before, and this goes into what it is like for some people like materialism is their god without them knowing it, like I've said many times before, because it helps them get the status and kind of look cooler to women, but it's kind of simping in a way. But women, it will work for women. If they see that you have a yacht, there's going to be women that show up at a yacht. And they don't care what you did to get that yacht, whether it was, ethical or not or anything. They don't give a damn about that.
Well, what
So
you're describing,
they all go together.
well, what you're actually describing is called the can you the illusion of
Yeah,
affluence, the illusion of influence. That
yeah.
whole keeping up with the
Hey, it's called
Joneses.
a thought experiment.
She belongs to the streets.
But yeah, it's because it's like you make because what happens? People go out there, make more money, and then they want to go out and try to look more wealthy, get the nicer car, wear the
Yeah,
nicer clothes, and we're so brainwashed that we'll go out, spend for you know Versace and everything like that, and Louis Vuitton, and pretty much their labels all over the place, and we're advertising, we're paying them to advertise for them.
yeah. And a lot of, so another thing too is like part of what this is about too. The only wealth that we value is external wealth.
Yeah.
We don't value or measure internal wealth. Like, are you actually happy? Do you not want anything? You know, People think like, well, you're just poor. Thanks, Steve. They're like, oh, well, you're just poor or something, so you have to say that to cope for that. It's like, well, yeah, because that's a lie that you think. You think that you need more. Um, so, but what I'm trying to say is, for example, some of these rappers or something like that, they have the gold chains, the cars, and but they have to show you it. They're probably very empty inside a lot of the time. They're like, oh, I just live basically for other people's validations. Like, think of it, it's kind of simping. Like, I
Hmm.
just live to get other men's valid, actually, really more men's validation and then women's validation. I need all this. So, like, they when you have to show everybody that, you're kind of like, insecure. I've seen some people who have a lot of money and you wouldn't really know, and they just have a lot of money, but they don't care to tell you about it. And they're like, I have
Yeah.
enough money for a
Oh,
hundred for to pay my rent for 40 years, and like I don't really need to worry about anything. But they're not out there showing you that. You know what I mean? Like they don't need like 15 supercars, and they're waiting to get a 16th one, and they need two jets and stuff. It's like at what point is it going to be enough here? And sometimes it's not enough because there's something wrong inside of them that they feel like they need to achieve more or something like. At what point is it going to be enough money where you say like, I've got enough money to live comfortably, like I'm good. I don't need to like spend beyond the needs of what I can accumulate. You know what I mean? Like someone, I'm not making an argument for communism, but I'm saying like if someone has enough money, like someone like Oprah or something has enough money where they couldn't really spend all the money in the rest of their lifetime, it's like, well, what else do you really need then?
to be the richest corpse in the graveyard. That's what.
Yeah, it's like, so what are we really doing there? You don't take it with you. You're not taking the items with you. And a lot of these people are not setting up a charity, or the charity is to save money on taxes and shit. It's not actually to give a legacy and help. Like Andrew Carnegie was the only guy to really do that. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford a little bit actually gave back and like made like museums and libraries and shit like that. Um,
Well, probably, as some type of recompense for all the damage and the lives they ruined. But I will, but I will say this. I know one thing with Andrew Carnegie. He, if you know, he's. I think even if you think about it, you can make a direct connection that if there was no Andrew Carnegie, there would probably be no Social Security,
yeah, yeah.
because
He created a
um,
lot of jobs and like
one of the things that he did was, he knew a lot of people in academia, And one of the things that he noticed was they couldn't retire. They couldn't afford to retire. That literally, you either worked until you dropped, or you married very well, or you had enough kids where one or two of them would help take care of you. And so he actually endowed, and he actually started an endowment, um, with the seed money to start, um, a retirement account for people in education. And that retirement account system, that company, that organization he set up, um, was kind of the, I don't want to say the blueprint, but the inspiration behind Social
The
Security.
DNA, sort of, or something.
Yeah, the DNA,
Yeah,
yeah, the
concept,
DNA,
conceptual
um,
DNA, or something.
for
Yeah,
Social Security. So, so, but the downside to that is now, like I said before, we're so stuck. Um, I think you said something earlier about, this is tsunami, this is tsunami coming, and
yeah,
you've heard me mention this in previous conversations. In the next 10 to 15 years, when Gen X starts hitting retirement, whoa, daddy. It is going to be game on because we are preparing to retire, in my personal opinion, in a very challenging economic time frame. Um, the challenges with the Social Security Trust, with this whole, AI revolution and how and what that might look like.
yeah,
On top of that, if we do head into a recession, you know, there's this reliable, this is economic indicator that, over the past, um, since what, the 1950s, every time whenever certain economic conditions hit, um, a recession usually came, um, you know, not long after 2 years after this economic indicator, flipped and then turned back on. And so I think 2027, we're looking at some very challenging times, in the financial
yeah,
markets.
yeah, yeah. And that's kind of why I'm trying to say, like, during an economic downturn, this is one of the best mindsets that you can have because you're just going to be less
Yes,
affected. Like you're
but
just
not
going to
only,
be a little bit less affected somehow,
but
and
not only
and you're
less
not going to feel
affected.
like a victim as much because you pre-trained yourself.
No, but this is also where we get our dry powder together, because remember, I kind of think of, one's person crisis is another person opportunity. And I think what's that word? This is word. It means like chaos and opportunity. I don't know if it's Chinese. Like there's one of these languages where it's like this. I can't know the exact words, but they
Well,
mean it's the
China
exact same
says like
word.
there's no um
Chad, help
there's
me
no
out.
problem. There's only opportunities.
Yeah, and so yeah, yeah. Let me know the word or the language, but it's something like chaos and opportunity. It's the same thing. And so when we do have trying to live in the way that, you know we're trying to get people to start thinking about, this is how we build our dry powder, our dry
Yeah,
powder,
I think the
so
word
that
is bukkake.
look, one man's jizz is another one's whiz.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I'm pretty sure that someone told me, like, in certain, like, African language, there's no word for maintenance. There's not like a concept for like maintenance because they haven't like had to like maintain things, so they don't understand the word like maintenance. Um, just as a side note. So yeah, pre-train yourself to just also. This is also not necessarily to be fully about finance. It's just about to be
Yeah,
happier with needing less in life. The less you need, the less you need, and you can still be fulfilled. So it's not if you need less women, that's good. If you need less, junk food, and you don't need to drink, you don't need to smoke, you don't need, to watch corn. You don't need to you know you don't need to like gamble. You don't need like a lot of these things actually can make you more free in a way, but we don't really look at it like that. We look at it as like, oh well, that's very boring and stuff like that. And maybe it kind of is, but you're also not a slave to it as too. Tenacity puts in chaos brings opportunity. Um, time to think, sheeple. What do you think about C group? What do you think about stock options?
Yeah, I was with the message. I love them because when you think about it, when it comes to stock options, when you're educated and with good strategy and risk management, it not only gives you the ability to protect, enhance, or hedge your position, but it also gives you the opportunity to make money, not just when markets are going up but also when they're going down or they're
Mm-hmm.
just within a trading range. And so it gives you so much flexibility with once again, but you got to get educated and have a risk management strategy. I wish I could show you guys my trading book, but I literally have trading plans for um I, I I kind of look at it, my position when it comes to that is, you know, I'm a volatility trader, but I'm also a trader of lines. I'm looking at support resistance and I'm looking for diagonal breakdowns and breakouts. And so it presents I used to do the time I used to have several dozen positions on at a time. Um, and so I love trading options, and I wish, and if I wasn't working full time right now, I'd be trading. Be honest. And when I was living in Colombia, that's what I was doing, and I was living in DR. I was trading. So
Mm.
that was one of the ways I was able to make money while I was still overseas. Um, but yeah, yeah, got to get educated on there. And I know in AJ's chat we have an investing, money and investing sub channel in his stack. What I'll try to do is see if I can get some. If if you guys are part of AJ's money and investing, or if Snowboard creates some money and
Yeah,
investing.
I can create one right now, so it's
Okay,
you know,
and what
I'll
I'll
actually
do
make
is
one like right now.
perfect. And what I'll do is I'll jump on my computer and I'll try to. So what I'll start doing is I'll try to get some good material and
Sure,
upload it to your money and investing um, Discord.
sure. Yeah, I just made it. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
So yeah,
as a matter of fact, that's something that I'm actually am contemplating next year. I have this whole methodology for market awareness that I used to do religiously, in which I'm literally like it, it, it just gives you such insight because I'm looking at price action, I'm looking at value, I'm looking and seeing not only what the major indices are doing, but I'm also looking at sector ETFs and I'm looking for sector rotation. Like I said, to me, this is so much fun, and it can help you with so many aspects of your life. And because, like I said, I made the decision a long time ago that I will never ever depend on a job, a government, or another person for the basic necessities of life. And I made that decision in 2014, and I wish I would have made that decision a whole lot earlier.
yeah. But again, we're not told to do this. That's not what we see
No,
other people do. We're told to you know, uh, like part of this is also saying like, well, I'm doing this so I don't really have to work, and they're like, well, you should work. What's wrong with you? You should, work. So they, it's just part of the mentality. We have a very hedonistic mentality here. We're just programmed to do it, and they're not trying to help you build wealth, because if you build wealth, you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna buy it. Like, it's funny, kind of the more wealth you have, sometimes the less you want to actually spend on it. So another thing too, we're coming off of boomers where they had Reaganomics and stuff, and the
Hmm.
cheap credit, so they could consume their tits off. I got a new car every few years, and like I got the lake house, I got the boat, and I got the RV. They could consume, 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 consume all the time. So, and then growing up, that's what we see, and we think like, I'm at this age, so I should have a muscle car by now and stuff like that. So we have all these things baked into the cake, which are not basically good. Um, in a sense, I think marriage has a lot to, maybe to do with that as well, because marriage is also another chance to consume again. You're putting, you got the honeymoon, you got the wedding, you got the bachelor party, you got the baby shower and all this stuff. It's another thing where you're gonna consume more, or you'd
Hmm.
spend more, do all this more, and I'm not saying they're directly correlated, but there could be like a little bit for it. Um, so it's just things to kind of be aware of. So we'll continue this video here, but also too, outside of the money part, I want you to think of it in the sense of happiness. Like, if this will make you more attractive to women too. Like, I don't need much. I don't need to get pussy from you. I don't need your validation. I don't need you to tell me I look cool. I don't need the guy at the coffee shop to be like, hey, I think your truck is cool. If they do, that's cool. But some people are so needing to do it. They're so needy. It's a simp for validation. That's not good, especially because our society is a little bit sick right now. And that validation, you're getting validation from people who are not really good, per se. You know what I mean? Like, the most successful people in our society are like Epstein and pedophiles and stuff. So like,
Hmm.
it's a little bit backward right now. You know what I mean? Elon Musk has a lot of money. It's not going to be enough for him. He's going to need to get more. What amount of money is he going to actually give some other people? He has enough money that he can't spend it all. So
I think,
at that
but
point, he's just
yeah,
kind of taking money. And I'm not telling him what he should do with his money. I'm just saying that we have a very like vapid mentality, a very short-sighted, like shallow mentality, where it's just like whoever has the most wins. He who has the
well,
most toys wins.
I disagree with you a little bit on that. I'm gonna push back. I'm gonna push back on you
Sure.
just a little bit. Um, so I think when you get, so think about it. When you, so there's a group of people in the retirement planning space, certain clients that we call super savers.
Mhm.
And so these are people that, you know, they've spent their lives living on less,
Yeah.
sacrificing so they can save more and invest more. And actually, the TIAA Institute did a study where they tracked retirees' um, accounts from, I want to say, 65 to 74, um, because you would think going in retirement, these people would, spend, enjoy their lives and stuff like that. And what ends up happening is that these super savers, that by the time they're 74, they have significantly more money than they did at 65. That they never picked up their spending. And what I'm saying that, when you know, there's a saying, I can't remember, I don't know if it was Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar, or was it Brian Tracy? One of them says that, you know, when you become a millionaire or make 1,000, 100,000, whatever the case may be, it's not about making the money. It's about who you become to be able to do
That's
that.
Jim Rohn. Yeah, it's Jim
Okay,
Rohn. Yeah.
and so I think that when you become hyper competitive, hyper productive, and you're just out here doing things like like a shark got to keep moving, a shark got to keep swimming.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something
Cocaine
you
is
can
a hell of a
turn off.
drug.
Because think about Orange Man. Um, you know, Orange Man doesn't have to keep doing what he's doing and everything along those lines. Now, but again, now I'm not talking ego or anything along those lines. There comes a point in time where, like you said, you have made more money than you could possibly spend in several lifetimes. Not only have you provided for more than your life, but your children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren. And but these people still keep going. Warren Buffett didn't retire to what, 95?
Yeah.
Warren Buffett just retired here. And Charlie Munger worked until he died.
Yeah. I
Charlie
didn't even
Munger,
know he was dead.
yeah,
He must have
two,
just
3 years
died
ago,
recently. Yeah.
like 2 years ago, something like that. And he literally worked until like he never retired. Um, and so and then but then you turn around and talk about simping. Did you ever see Robert Kiyosaki? He did this really good interview because his wife divorced him.
Yeah.
Um, and the
And
reason
he
why
did
she
was like
divorced him.
a perfectly ffine guy and took like a ton of his
Exactly.
money.
Well,
Yeah.
because you're not the man because he wasn't out here slanging and banging. He wasn't out here, like man, this dude inspired several generations. Um, did this, did that, everything around. Man, can I take a break? No, he wasn't the same man that was out here, hustling, moving and grooving. And so, once you become highly productive, I don't think that's something you can turn off. But with that being said, um, but at the end of the day, as us being men individually, no one's coming to save us. And if you don't have a plan for your life, if you don't have a mission, a goal, or a purpose for your life,
A
damn it,
small hat will.
someone, yep, if you don't have a plan, someone will find a way to fit you in theirs.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
promise you, their plan will be more in their best interest than yours. If you dis and if you disagree with me, please jump on the screen about if you disagree.
Mm. Yeah, I can
I
put the link up.
if you think the government has a better plan for you, your
Well, no,
money, and
they
your
have a
family.
plan, which might be World War III in on Israel's
Well,
behalf. So
I'm,
you're
I'm,
going to be
I'm
at
talking about you.
Crag
I'm
Island.
talking about us as an individual. Us
Yeah,
as an individual. If you think that chick with the butterfly tattoos and the bull ring,
it's going to help you. Yeah,
her plan, her plan for you is more in your best interest than yours. Yeah, please join the stream, guys. Let's talk about
yeah. We'll continue the video here.
His neighbors mocked his cabin, calling it childish or impractical, unable to see that he had chosen clarity over conformity. The second cost is inner friction. To need less means confronting the part of you that craves recognition. It means sitting in the quiet after saying no to what everyone else says yes to. At first, the silence can feel like absence. Doubts rise. Did I give up too much? Am I missing out? That discomfort is real, but it is also the sign that you are no longer running on borrowed values. You are beginning to live on your own. Yet the reward for paying this price is immense. The most obvious reward is freedom. The man who needs less cannot be owned. He does not live in fear of losing things because his happiness does not rest on them. He carries his security inside. That makes him harder to control, harder to manipulate, harder to break. Another reward is time. Every false need abandoned frees hours once spent chasing, earning, and maintaining.
And that is something. Time is. It should actually be worth way more than money. Uh, depending on how you look at it. So, also
it.
another thing too, when you don't need something, you're more likely to get a deal or get a better deal or something because you're like, well, I don't really actually need it, so I'm not gonna like compromise. I'm not gonna
He who
cave in on a
cares
deal so
least.
much. Yeah,
He who cares least. Um, and who is it that said you can always make more money, but you can't make more time? And that's a challenge that's something that I'm challenged with right now because I know
and let me just
mathematically,
put one small caveat.
mhm,
Part of that is related to health,
yeah,
like in an abstract way. I mean, the time that you have can also be going on improving your health or not letting it degrade doing something that sucks, because that degradation might bring a lot of money, but that money might not be able to, you can still do some good things with that money, but that money might not be able to offset some of the dis-ease, the lack of ease and everything that can accumulate over time, and then you're just paying all medical bills, and you got all this time off in a yacht, but you're just sitting there, you really can't enjoy it because you can't move, and
Mhm.
it's just a side thing to think about, because they we also have it here where like you better hustle and grind more and get less sleep and do all that. It's like, yeah, I get there's something to that for sure. You got to outwork other people, but it's like if you outwork yourself, then it's kind of like, well, you've outworked yourself to the point where you're a slave a little bit, and that can have its own things with it. So it, everybody has the way the options, with that. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, one of the challenges that I'm having, and I don't know if I shared this with you, but one of the challenges that I'm having is whether to like whether to retire within the next 2 years or hold off for another seven. Mathematically, it makes more sense for me to retire at 62, as the initial starting point, and saying yes, mathematically, yeah, work for another 5 to 7 years, um, at least another 5, 37 years. So mathematically, it makes sense. But the challenge that I have is I know what's waiting for me on the other side. I know what my life looks like in Dominican Republic. I know what my life looks like in Colombia, and it is damn effing
Yeah.
good.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, and so and big booty Latinas.
Yeah.
Like
She belongs to the street.
I
Clayton writes in, your most valuable assets are the people that you surround yourself with. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely, for sure.
I know,
That
and
makes
that's
it
that's
big. And you want to have people who have similar values
mhm,
to you, or you all have, you don't have to have basically the exact same values, but complementary values. So sometimes people with other values, you being around them kind of can be good to be around. Sometimes opposite people kind of actually can be a good thing sometimes,
mhm.
as well, for like, for diversity of opinions and stuff like that. So,
Well, who
um,
is it that said? Who is it that said you never want to be if you're always the smartest man in the room,
you're in the
you need to
wrong
find
room. Yeah.
you need to find more rooms to be a part of.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I love this community, because um you know you know I I learned so much from a damn tree diddler.
Yeah.
that, that I gotta keep tuning in. but no, but no, we all have something. I'm trying to be sincere.
No, I
But
appreciate it. I try to give some value and
no,
insights.
yeah.
I do. I have to do it through an
Oh,
obscure way.
give me 1 second.
And
What?
I think it was Dr. Phil who actually said, "Being those, don't be the you kind of want to be. If you're the smartest man in the room, get out of that room." But I think he also said this too.
You're ugly. You are disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
What? I might give me 1 second, snowboard.
Sure,
Oh,
I'm gonna just let this
one
play a little
second.
longer.
Those hours become available for reflection, for creation, for relationships that matter. Time is the currency of life, and needing less is how you buy it back. There is also clarity. A life stripped of excess makes decisions sharper. Priorities come into focus. The fog of comparison lifts. You know what you stand for because you are no longer weighed down by everything you do not. And then comes resilience. When your needs are simple, you bend instead of break. Economic
Oh,
storms, social shifts.
sorry. Just as you said, I just won 1 ounce of silver. Oh my goodness, you're a lucky charm.
Nice, yeah, nice.
I just want a free ounce of silver.
Nice.
But yeah, I told you guys one of my side hustles. I think I put in Discord that one of my side hustles is that when I'm on streams, um, um, I'll enter contests, like I'll enter like different streams that do giveaways, and I actually win something almost every day. So yeah, but go ahead. I didn't mean to cut. I was just excited. I was shocked that I won.
Nice. Cool.
Sudden losses. These strike hardest at those who have built their lives on fragile towers of more. The man who requires little adapts.
And again, guys, I'm not telling anyone how to live. I'm not saying anyone should live this way. Like the whole reason I made this because I sold like an extra pair of like skis that I had, and I was like, wow, like I thought I like wanted to have those around. I had like a little bit of an attachment to them, and I was just like, I don't need it. I don't need it. I have another pair of skis. I'm fine. So I don't need to have it. I'm gonna like, oh, maybe I'll use it later and stuff like that. Like sometimes just having less, sell everything you own. Sell your wife.
Quickly, because little is required to sustain him. This, in the end, is the trade. The price of needing less is being misunderstood, even judged. The reward is freedom, clarity, time, and strength. Thoreau's lesson was that the real cost is not in choosing simplicity. The real cost is in running endlessly after more and never arriving. Thoreau's cabin at Walden was built in the 19th century, but his blueprint speaks with even greater urgency today. We live in an age not of scarcity, but of excess.
And it's still there. Like I said, I've actually been driven past it, and it is just kind of like one room.
Screens blink day and night. Advertisements follow us into our homes, and the pace of consumption outstrips our ability to keep up. If Thoreau saw people rushing in his time, what would he say about ours? The world today rewards noise. It celebrates speed, constant updates, and perpetual connection. Yet beneath the glow of digital abundance, many feel emptier than ever. Anxiety and burnout rise with each passing year. The average person checks a phone hundreds of times a day. Entire lives are lived in comparison to carefully edited images of others. The promise is always more. More followers, more productivity, more stimulation. The result is exhaustion. In this world, the choice to need less becomes a form of quiet rebellion. A digital detox is not just a lifestyle trend. It is a declaration that your attention is yours. A slower pace is not laziness. It is resistance to a culture that mistakes busyness for value. Practicing mindfulness is not retreat. It is reclaiming the ability to live in a single moment without being pulled apart by 1,000 voices. The language has changed. Minimalism, slow living, sustainability, but the core idea is Thoreau's. Wealth is not the accumulation of more. It is the freedom of enough. Modern research.
Think about that. Wealth is not the accumulation of more, is the freedom of enough. That's a pretty powerful statement. This is probably like biblical.
Shows that people who simplify their environments, reduce their digital noise, and cultivate deep rather than shallow connections report higher well-being. In other words, the same truths Thoreau lived by.
That's another thing too, sort of what Clayton was saying. This. So this is another important thing. You don't need 3,000 Facebook friends. You don't need all that. You need a couple really good, strong, solid friends that are gonna. Are we gonna bury a body? I'm gonna help them. Shit like that. That's what you need.
You don't need any Facebook friends. You need
Well,
real
yeah, no,
friends.
none. Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying shallow people who you're just not really like a good friend with, and it's just like, what am I doing here? Like, I'll be kind to you, but you're not gonna have my back when I need it. You need a couple really good friends, even just one really good friend, who if they need to bury a body, you're just gonna say, I'm not gonna ask questions to help you do it. You need a friend like that, but you also need to be that friend for them too. So, you know, Facebook friends is just a blanket statement. I have Facebook. I have no friends on it, none, because I just want to use the marketplace thing to sell shit, basically. But you don't need. I don't need to be friends with my aunt on Facebook and shit like that. I don't care.
I don't even have
Most
Facebook.
people on. Yeah, I never had Facebook for years until I got it recently to do the Facebook Marketplace to sell shit, and it is a good thing to sell stuff. I'll be honest, but I don't have my business on there or anything like that.
You know what? I notice how very difficult it is to get hired for a job if you
Yeah,
do not have Facebook. Quite
yeah,
frankly, I've been told, oh, I got a couple of responses from my job hunt not too long ago there too, where you place in, well, what's your Facebook, what's your LinkedIn, and I put Facebook,
Yep.
do not use social media. Oh, okay, you're off the hook. Yeah,
Yeah,
goodbye.
you're
We don't
free.
want you. It's
Yeah.
like, well, what the hell is this? Like, here you have all these bastards online knocking down your company and all that shit, and you got to give everybody HR records. Shouldn't you be happy that I am not using it?
No,
Yeah.
because here's the thing. It's another tool for vetting because they want to see your digital footprint. They want to see what your affiliations are and what your background is. And this is a way that they can do it cheaply. And so it's another data point. For example, I have insurance, and so I've been licensed almost my entire career. First mortgages, and now securities and insurance. And when I apply for a job, because my licenses, because you put your license numbers on your resume, they research they look you up before they even call you. They've already researched your licenses before they even interview you. And the reason that's why they want that's why and I think that's the reason
Well, they
why.
make an assumption if you don't have it, you're hiding something. That's what they think.
Exactly.
You know
No,
what I mean?
not,
Like, because I
not
had no Facebook account for until like a couple like months ago. I still don't have one. I just have a picture of me with this snowboard icon thing, and I don't talk to any friends or anything. I didn't want to be a part of it, but because I also work for myself, so I didn't have to. But to access the Facebook Marketplace, I did decide to do it, and it actually has been worth it.
Yeah, and so I don't think I think so. So here's my thing. I think it's like I said before. I think it's so they can get some additional data point because you're less of an unknown. Right now, you're more of an unknown. But if they can see your digital footprint, see what you're going out there, and compare it to all the other applicants and their digital footprint to try to get some insight, then yeah, I think it's just an additional data point and screening tool, and that's what they use it for. And and I know when it comes to dating, I know right now when it comes to dating, I will not, I literally will not engage with any woman who claims she doesn't have Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook because I know it's a damn lie.
Yeah.
You know what?
Unless you grew up in the province.
You know what? Just to let you know, Seagrip, I have encountered 5 women so far, just here in Manitoba, that have never had that shit. They don't even have a cell phone.
Well, yeah, that's different. But see, you gotta realize the demographic. You know, the group of women, the demographic I tend to date in, they're glued to their damn cell phone, and you would never, and a chick who's glued to her cell phone who
Well,
claims,
well, well.
but no, but seriously, a chick that's
Yeah.
glued to her cell phone who claims she has no social media, I won't waste any more time on because at the end of the day, like I said before. I'm, I, I'm not trying to tilt at windmills. I'm not Don Quixote. And Don Quixote, I'm I'm not tilting at windmills because I know you're lying.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
so,
you know what, Seagrip? I'm telling you, there can be some. Like I said, if I could find 5 women that don't use it, I
but they don't keep the caveat. I said that the chicks that I tend to talk to are glued to their cell phone. Their cell phones are in their hand. Now, if a chick doesn't have a cell phone, then to me, yeah, that's a big green flag. If she don't got a cell phone,
Yeah.
she don't. Then that's a
If
I've never encountered
Seagrip
that.
meets a chick without a cell phone, she's living in a mud hut.
And you know something,
She
maybe
belongs to the streets.
and maybe that's what I should be looking for when I retire. So when I do officially retire and I'm living overseas, that's what I'm be looking for, a chick without a cell phone.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
but it is possible to have a cell phone and not have Facebook, and all that, and Instagram and shit. So it is
Oh
a
no, I'm not saying.
possibility.
Yeah.
You could have been told the truth, but too many women probably didn't. But you might have already encountered one that already did, and it was just like, well, what the hell do I do now?
No.
Yeah, it's
I don't
strange.
doubt it. It's rare, but it's rare. Five out of how many
Yeah,
women?
Yeah.
Exactly.
like yeah, out of like 250 or something like that, if not even more. Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it is possible, but it's not probable. But like I said before, if I met that, and once again, and I'm pretty sure these chicks, those five chicks, they have a couple of things in common as well. I don't know what they are, but if you think back, they probably have some other character traits to where you can form a pattern recognition that yeah, okay, these chicks, they're not out here slurring around or whatever the case may be. They're probably more conservative. You know, they probably maybe grew up with both parents.
Probably
Um,
Amish.
probably
Serious.
and so they probably have a small social group, um, but it's more likely tight knit. And so I'm pretty sure there are patterns there.
Yeah.
A pond still hold in the heart of the 21st century. The man who needs less today is not a hermit. He is not necessarily moving into the woods or abandoning society. He might live in a city apartment, run a business, raise a family. But what sets him apart is a refusal to let excess define him. He does not measure worth by the size of his house or the brand of his car. He measures it by clarity of mind, freedom of time, and depth of relationships. And so, in a world that tells us to add more at every turn, Thoreau's voice cuts through like a bell. Need less. Live deliberately. Protect the empty spaces where real life unfolds. What was once a cabin in the woods is now a blueprint for surviving a world that is always shouting for your attention. Thoreau ended his experiment at Walden after 2 years, but the lessons never ended. He proved that freedom does not wait at the far edge of accumulation. It begins the moment you decide to need less. That truth unsettled his neighbors then, and it unsettles us now because it asks us to turn against the script we have been handed since birth. The world insists that a good life is measured by more money, more recognition, more possessions. But Thoreau's life whispers another possibility. The man who knows how to need less discovers a form of wealth that cannot be lost, stolen, or inflated away.
See, here's just one other thing too. Um, Dante's here too. Here's another thing too. We have the term like, what is his worth? What is his net worth? Okay. Other countries don't have stuff like that. They don't just say how much money has this man accumulated. That doesn't have to be just that one thing. Did he create a family? Did he I don't know. Maybe he was poor but he lived to be 105. Is he winning more than someone who lived to be 80 and was rich? Who's winning? Some people may say, you know what? If I got to live another 25 years, I actually would have just had that instead of some of the money. So we have a very fixed mindset on, what is winning? Oops, what is, how do I put this at the bottom here? I'll just leave it like that, I guess. So you guys get the point of what I'm saying. That there's different metrics. I think only here in the West is we do that. What is their worth? So you only just worth the money? What if you mentored a whole bunch of people? What if you just volunteered a lot? You didn't really get any money, but you actually made some massive contributions. What if you made people laugh a lot? What if you know what I'm saying? So we have a very like narrow-minded way of looking at a lot of this stuff. So I want you to consider that as well. There's other forms of value in this world rather than just like how much money did they extract and keep. How much did they clip? Because that sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean how much value they created. That's how much value they've like harnessed or taken too. Like for example, there's a guy that lives at the lake that I live at. Okay, and I never met him or anything like that. But the customer who I was working for today was a doctor, and he's in the same town. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know that lake." And he said, "Did you know They said the employee the number one earning employee in America for a while. He's like, "Oh yeah, he has that house over there." I was like, "Oh yeah, I know that house." And I was like, "Well, what did he do?" And he said, "Well, what he did, Joe, anything in a hospital that is bought or used, if it's an aspirin, a napkin, or whatever, he gets like a clip off of that. He made the most
Snowboard.
money. But let me ask you something. What value did he really create? Would you
Snowboard.
still have the aspirin and have, like, would people still get what they need if he didn't, pay his little toll on it? So, just think of it that way. What were you gonna say, Secret?
Did you ever listen to Earl's Nightingale, The Strangest Secret?
Yeah,
Guys, if you in the chat, if you listen to, can you put, a one or something in the chat? Let me know if you listen to it, because what you're saying, that's a point that he makes, that, you know, we undervalue the things that we were given for free, our minds, our intelligence, love, our soul, the ability to dream, and we overvalue material things. Um, and that,
Bingo.
and that when it comes to, and that those free, and that these free and these, intangible gifts are priceless and irreplaceable. But when it comes to that car, that house, those purchase items, they're cheap and easily replaced. We hear time and time again, you know, we can never place a value in the loss of life. So it's but unfortunately, you know, um, I think the problem is, because our minds, our abilities, our soul, the ability to love and care and everything along those lines, because this comes as, like, standard equipment at birth, we take it for granted and we underuse them. We underuse our minds. We underuse our intelligence. We underuse our hearts. We underuse our, and we use our, and that's just my opinion. But yeah, guys, check out Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. This was recorded like in the 60s,
yeah,
50s. And if you listen to it, literally, you would think that he's talking about today.
yeah. Um, but also that can kind of loop into what we're talking about too, because the mind virus that you need more, you're not enough unless you get more. You got to keep up with the Joneses. He has a new Cadillac, you got to have a new. Now your car sucks. You were actually pretty fine with your car before. You had the Buick, but now he has the new Cadillac. Now he may be up to his eyeballs in debt, barely affording it, but you don't know that. But because he seems happy with the new car, and he's driving it past you, washing his driveway and stuff like that. So that strangest secret can work kind of against you a little bit too, in a sense. Like, so don't like, a part of the consumerism too is they want you to compare yourself with others. When you're comparing yourself with others, comparison is the thief of joy. So like when you see, like, I thought I was doing really good, but now I see this like 15-year-old kid in like a Ferrari somehow, that sold Pokemon cards or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like it's always going to be more of a rat race. They want you to keep, consuming, producing, and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't need the headaches. There's beauty in simplicity.
Yeah, 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 and that's not necessarily a popular opinion. It's meant to be cool right now, and it probably won't be cool. But like, what's cooler is like just enjoying your own life. If you're happy doing whatever, if you're happy collecting cards or doing making model trains or whatever, then do that. You don't need to, necessarily be the best at everything or have the most, because then when you're doing that becomes, it takes away from just enjoying the moment and stuff too. Like another thing too, you can't really take the wealth with you either.
Yeah, I
So
have
when
a
you
saying.
die, I mean, you can give it to some family and do some meaningful things with it, sure. But once you're dead, you're dead. You should actually die broke. spend all that money before you
Yeah.
die. Basically, run up the credit card, do that shit.
I, I have a saying. I don't follow or set friends. I do my own thing. That's
Say that
that's
again.
that's how I live my life.
You don't follow or set friends.
I don't follow or set trends. I do my own thing.
Oh, set trends. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if people end up copying you, then doesn't they say like copying is a form of flattery or something like that?
Yeah, imitation is
Something like that.
the highest
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
form of
Yeah.
flattery.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve, you got to get on. We'll do so we should do another episode on this because I think Matt would be good at this too. What someone should have to grow food and what someone should have maybe in a bug out bag. Um
Did I
or
miss the
to
cats?
I didn't do the cats one no yet. I will do
Uh,
that one. So I think we should do one where you can have, how to be sustainable but also how to have like a minimalistic kind of bug out bag. So you could, if there is some type of situation, you could just have this pretty much this one bag and just head out the door, and feel like you could defend yourself and maybe kind of make it to a new safe area. So that could be, a good thing, an interesting thing. Whiteout writes in, I want to build a family before I pass. It's getting harder now, and I don't have the means to now, but it is a want. It's also tough finding a good woman, but I'm still looking. Yeah, if that's what you want to do, keep looking, keep building toward it.
Amen.
Maybe you need to go to another country or change where because that's another thing too. The women want a man who has this greedy mindset too, or this like it's kind of a paradox because yeah, you do want a man who's the provider and everything like that too, but also there can be a point where it's just like you're over providing or something. I don't really quite know how to quantify it, so I'm not gonna like take that away. But women encourage a lot of this because women want you to have like they want you to have a yacht or they want you look at that Robert Kiyosaki guy.
It's
As soon
bragging
as like the
rights.
money didn't come in and stuff like that, she's like, well, you're kind of dead to me. So it's like she never really liked him to begin with. Really, she just liked what he was providing. So that's another thing too. Like a lot of women only look at you for what you can provide, and it's probably always kind of been that way. But it's like, well, you're kind of a pack mule a little bit, and some guys are totally fine with that. They're like, it's an honor to be a pack mule for my family. Yeah, I can see that, but that might not be for everybody. One great book was The Richest Man in Babylon. I've heard of that book. I have not read it though. I have read. There is a book, and I think this actually is by maybe Earl Nightingale. Acres of Diamonds. Acres of Diamonds kind of actually applies a little bit to what we're talking about. So Acres of Diamonds is like a small book or a parable about a guy who wants to basically, yeah. Any food questions? Ask Steve about it. When you teach something, you start to master it more. So that's good for both people. But Acres of Diamonds is like a book about this guy wants to like find a ton of gold basically and get rich. So he starts buying plots of land all over the place, looking at them, excavating them. He goes like 10 countries and stuff like that. He doesn't find anything. Then he goes back to his original home and finds it there. So sometimes we look like we're looking for everything is somewhere else. I have to go somewhere, do something. Kind of try to make do with what you have first, maximize what you have first, then go out and conquer the world or something. But so that kind of applies to this a little bit. Like what do you already have? What can you improve? Maybe you don't need a new car. Maybe you should think about replacing the timing chain in your Subaru early before it has a problem or something like that. Maybe you should you know get the new tires sooner so you don't risk having a flat or a bunch of shit like that. So let's Secret put up a thing here. Let's check this out.
Oh, so just real quick, let me just set the
Sure.
stage. So I was watching this video today. This I think 28, 20, like 30, about 30, almost 30-year-old woman. I think she's in China or one of these provinces, and and her not, and she was, and she goes and she helps her 95-year-old grandmother, and helps her bathe and get dressed, and the parents help the grandmother, and
Mhm.
she was doing the grandmother's hair. She made this comment that she loves spending time with her grandmother and hold her, and it brings her back to her being a little girl and her grandmother doing her hair and holding her. And so because when you talk about what's valuable, yeah, you bought you got a new Ferrari, you got a new Lambo, or you then got another gold Cuban link, whatever the case may be. And these chicks out here want to be consuming, but what's more important? And because if you make it to 95 and you have health issues, who's going to be there for you?
Yeah.
And so this is a video. Say what you will about you know a Tate, but this is like 35-second clip, and to me this is like literally the most powerful thing I've ever heard him say.
Okay.
Mother had 9 children. There was my father and 8 more. They all had a bunch of kids, blah, blah, blah. I stood there and looked at my 93-year-old grandmother, and there was a whole room full with maybe 70 people that came from that one woman. Isn't that remarkable? That nobody cared about her career. Nobody asked what job she did. Nobody asked how many times she went to the club. Nobody asked if she had time to go to festivals. No, you had 70 sentient beings, including myself, full of life from one woman who dedicated herself to being a mother and a good wife. That is beautiful.
And
Mm.
so to me, and when I and that to me that was the most powerful thing I've ever heard him say in regards to at the end of the day, um, you got these chicks out here want to consume and everything like that. Us chasing after female validation, and ooh, I got to pipe down one more chick, or I got to have another twosome, I got to have another threesome. Ooh, what do you do? But at the end of the day, you know, when you're in your 90s and it's just you,
Yeah.
who, who are you going to have around you celebrating your birthday?
Yeah.
Chicken, chicken, chicken.
that,
I'm
that,
gonna have
that,
this.
that you don't have to pay.
We're gonna say.
Oh, pimp down, pimp in disgrace. Oh my God.
Backdoor secret.
I'm,
What were you gonna
I'm gonna have
say,
little
Matt?
robots walk around, and AI is
Well,
gonna
that
keep.
might be what we have. That might be what's coming.
I'm actually okay
That,
with that because I'm gonna need that.
well,
Fuck, I
there's a
haven't seen.
lot. We were covering that once, and a lot of the newer robots is actually going to be going to help take care of elderly people. Or it's
Yeah,
starting with being a companion first, but then eventually it's going to be like a hat at home aid, like LNA type,
I saw that.
stuff.
Um, I
Yeah.
was watching a video where it can help lift the elderly person off the bed, so
Yeah.
that the sheets can be made and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm telling you, right, guys, 20 years from now, um, I'm excited. You know, I I
That's
I
not
have an
necessarily a
idea.
bad thing. That's
Oh
not a
no,
bad thing. Yeah.
but here's but you know who it is going to be bad for? These B dubs. It's going
Yeah.
to be bad
LNAs. Yeah.
for
B dubs. Yeah.
it's going to be bad for these only
Yeah.
these only fools models. It's going to be bad
Well,
for
I can still
these
have
chicks.
them. I can still have them like wipe my ass though if they want. Like.
Well, that
Yeah,
you know something,
yeah.
and that's going to be the only job they qualify for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
secret will be looking for the big booty Latina model.
Yeah.
Exactly. or 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 the nice soft spoken traditional Asian Southeast Asian woman.
There you go.
Yeah.
I can go
Well,
either way.
Here's the other thing too is that all those 3 or 4 girls, all they have to do is just pull a Bonnie Blue and then just have a semination party on camera.
Mm.
mm, mm,
Oh, that
it
that made snowboard move.
this one wipe her up.
Had to kill a spider. Uh,
I think she's engaged right now. Someone wiped her up.
yeah, she is to some simp. Yeah, disgusting. Yeah, they're trying to get pregnant too. What a loser.
Uh,
You
Hey,
know
that
what I
yeah.
spider had
mean?
a family.
It's crazy.
I would take her on if she had an American citizenship.
And
yeah.
a year supply of penicillin.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. 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 No, she's got. I can't believe what she has swimming around in
Yeah, you
her.
better wrap that thing up.
You're
Yeah.
like, whoa! Don't kiss your husband with that mouth.
Oh, can you just imagine that type of simp? Disgusting.
Ugh.
And they say too. I've heard this too that they're saying like we can even like look it up, but any guy who's like nutted in her in the past, that like that sperm goes to like help create like the next baby that comes in. It's like a small
Uh,
amount, small amount. I have
oh,
heard that. So let's look that up right now.
I was watching this
Does
one comedian. Okay, I was watching this one. Okay, so I fell down this rabbit hole last night about women's prisons. and and how disgusting they are. And I was listening to this one woman talk about how disgusting. I'm gonna see if I can find this comedy skit. It was these 2 comedians talk show, but this chick, she was so base that I gotta find it and put it in the private chat. I'll be right back.
Too bad jumpsuit Pablo doesn't cover that. That would be kind of interesting.
um yeah, it's
Probably
not
secrets
saying
gotta
that.
Discovers time, clarity, and peace. He discovers himself. Thoreau once wrote, "A man is rich in proportion to the number of things he can afford to let alone." It is a line that reads like a challenge. What if true wealth is not what you hold tightly, but what you can release without fear? What if strength is not carrying more, but carrying only what matters? So the question falls to us. What can you let go of today? One obligation, one possession, one false need. Just enough to feel the weight lift. Just enough to hear your own voice again. Perhaps that is where freedom begins. Not in the endless pursuit of more, but in the quiet art of needing less.
So yeah, I think that was a strong topic, and it's just about midnight here, so I'm gonna call it a night. Anyone else want to say any last comments on this? To maybe change their mind on it, or I'm not
Oh, it was a good
advocating
topic.
people live this day. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
quite
I just came
enjoyable.
to me. Yeah, it just came to me kind of randomly, and I think it has some good value to think about. I mean, it can also just be declutter your mind, but sometimes that means kind of declutter your environment. I never really thought of that. Like I'm kind of a hoarder a little bit. Like I said, that hoarder mentality comes from the Great Depression. Of you keep things because you can reuse it, you can repurpose it. I might use these screws later or these bolts later and shit like that. So
Yeah, same here.
Oh, you're one of those with bolts and screws. My God,
yeah, a bunch of shit
those
like
that
that.
is absolutely.
Chainsaws, engines, like a
Can
whole
you
like
go and buy yourself a whole new box of bolts and get rid of that old shit? Come on.
Yeah, because it's better. It is better, but get better new hardware. But I'm saying like I would do shit like that, but that's where a lot of that comes from. Is that so basically our grandparents did that, and it skips a generation for our parents, and then it can go to us. So I'm not saying that's fully what it is, but I'm just saying like sometimes you think something has value, so you end up keeping it forever, and it's just like what I haven't been using this. Let someone else have it or sell it. Like sell shit too. Like so, but like what we learned here too is like if you're in a less cluttered environment, you have kind of a little bit less distractions. You can focus more. It can lead to more happiness. And just the less attachments you have, the less things are attached to you, in a sense that can take, that you're the host of it. You're their host, in a sense, just unknowingly. So, yeah. Um, Great show. I've been rolling like a small. Yeah, that's another thing too. Just live below your means and save. That's what I'm gonna start doing, like more, but kind of enjoy it because you're kind of like saving more for your freedom, and it's cool. You're not feeding the You know how they say this thing like there's two like wolves in your mind, like one is fear and one is like not. So don't feed. Stop
Yeah,
feeding the small hats.
if
And
you
stay.
have two, yeah, the story goes, if you have two wolves, prosperity is one of them, death and destruction is another. Which one wins? Whichever one you feed.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but also can mean starve one of them too. You could starve one of them in a sense, and that's kind of what we're trying to do here is a starving one. So feed, you can feed the other one, but also just consciously try to starve the other one too.
yeah, we're at the stage where we're not relying on living by paycheck to paycheck. We've gone beyond that point, so I think we're in good shape moving forward.
Yeah, that's the goal, and then just try to. I mean, even if you did have to live paycheck to paycheck, try to live where you have you like, I could actually live without some money somehow. Like that would be the higher level of it. Like that's how
Yep.
like Jesus was living. That's how monks are living. Like even some homeless people. Like some homeless people are actually highly intelligent spiritual people. They just don't want to be a part of the society. They're like, I just don't give a shit. Some of them are very sick as well, so you got to be careful. But like some people who say like, yeah, I can be homeless and I'm always going to get by. I'll just go and fish and get that fish and bring it to my tent and cook it and stuff like that. So there is that person has abundance too in a sense. Like there's a lot of fish in there. I just got to get one today and
Exactly.
then I'm going to be good. So like I'm trying to get you to think in a little bit of that mindset too. So it's not necessarily about how much money have I saved up. It's like, well, also too, if you have the money saved up and let's say you have your accounts frozen or something like that, or um, there's some type of money problem like the Soviet Union where the money's no good anymore, like that type of currency is not good anymore. So you got to also diversify, other ways too.
Oh yeah,
So
we prepared for that as well.
nice, yeah. Dante is just wants all hell to break loose, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
people who do kind of want the like a little bit of chaos to happen too. They're ready for it. They have their bug out stuff, or they have their
I was okay with the
bunker.
world burning to shit as long as I had my guns.
Yep.
That disappeared.
I'm I'm
So
I'm I'm the I'm the uh I'm the prepare for the worst, hope for the best mindset.
nice, cool. Well, thanks so much, guys. Have a great night and take it
Thank
easy.
you guys.
Yep.
Take it
Bye
easy.
bye.
But
Take it easy.
Thanks for being here.